Full-time mage, I have a traveling panda. Hey. Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction, so don't try any techniques you hear here in real life. Your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 76. A mighty army presses in, gods descend. After everyone lay down, a few minutes later, a noisy, dark cloud flew in from the northwest. Wow, there must be at least several thousand of them, Xiaoding said in a low voice. Mountain eagles are usually hunted in tribes. On average, 1 in 10 is a warrior. With a large number, they can hunt commander-level demons together, Qinling whispered. Just as the dark army of demons was about to pass, a warrior-level brain-eating long-eared beast suddenly emerged from the burrow. Long-eared beasts are one of the mountain eagle's favorite foods. Hongyun was about to use lunar magic to kill the long-eared beast when, unexpectedly, the next second, there was a loud bang, and the long-eared beast instantly turned into a cloud of blood mist. All the hunters were stunned, not knowing what had happened. It's a red demon falcon. At the critical moment, Qinling shouted loudly. Sure enough, in mid-air, a relatively small red falcon coldly stared at the group. The next moment, screech, screech, the crimson falcon let out a sharp cry. In an instant, everyone's minds went blank, and only 2 words remained in their hearts: it's over. Damn it, does this crimson falcon know anything about propriety and shame? How could it associate with a mountain catching eagles? It's like the city lord's daughter hanging out with a bunch of poor boys. Sorry, Mo Fan, I'm not implying anything against you. Duckwe stood up cursing. There was no need to hide now, because the mountain catching eagle army had already surrounded them in a mighty force. Sigh, the crimson falcon and the mountain catching eagles can be together, but she and I can't be together, someone sighed. Get lost, you love-struck fool, someone cursed. In an instant, the sky seemed to darken. Thousands of mountain-catching eagles stared fiercely at everyone with their sharp eyes. This scene alone made the mid-level mages, including some high-level mages, lose their will to resist. Earth mages, quickly build fortresses and make the ground more complex, Hongyun roared, protecting Qinling behind him. Facing so many demons, he felt a sense of unease for the first time. The earth mages among the hunters, hearing Hongyun's voice, instantly understood and began using earth magic to alter the surrounding terrain. Rock Demon's Eye, Earth Dragon Spike, Rock Barrier, Mountain Screen, Rock Barrier, Phosphorus Stone. As various earth spells were cast, the earth transformed in the mage's hands, thick rock spikes protruding from beneath the ground. Huge mountain screens and stone shields emerged from the earth, constructing complex rock fortresses on the wide plains. Fighting winged demons in an open area was no different from scattering bait into a fish pond. Screech, screech, the mountain hunting eagle army chirped, clearing a space, and a winged demon with feathers as if cast from metal flew out from the dark clouds. This was the leader of the mountain hunting eagle tribe, the Great Steel Sparrow. A demon of minor commander level, even its name sounded incredibly robust. The Great Steel Sparrow stared intently at the group on the ground, but upon seeing the rock barrier they had built, a hint of disdain flashed in its eyes. Screech, the Great Steel Sparrow let out a sharp cry. A flock of mountain eagles immediately flew towards the ground, moving with incredible speed, like falling meteors. The group hurriedly hid behind the rock barrier. Leaving only a few skilled fighters outside, Great Swamp Steam style, Hongyun gathered his strength, combining his fist power with lunar magic, and slowly extended his fist stance. A vacuum seemed to appear in the center of the falling mountain eagle flock, and more than a dozen mountain eagles were instantly crushed into bloody mist, creating a bloody rain in the air. Well done, Brother Mu, Xiaoding excitedly pumped his fist. Arrival, Thunderbolt, Yaksha. The next moment, Xiaoding connected with a shimmering nebula, and lightning suddenly descended from the sky, its shape bizarre, resembling a Yaksha demon wielding a steel fork. The somber, dark lightning struck the flock of mountain eagles, seemingly triggering a chain reaction. Violent, savage lightning currents coursed through the bodies of over a dozen eagles, paralyzing them and sending them plummeting like dumplings. Zhengjin Sword Ki. Hongyun immediately unleashed several tiny Zhengjin Sword Ki, piercing the heads of the falling eagles. The hunter mage's resistance seemed to enrage the great steel sparrow in the sky, which let out an angry cry. All the mountain eagles immediately began chattering, as if about to swoop down. Night rule, lost black mist. Fortunately, Tianyang had already completed the connection of the high-level shadow magic, and a pitch-black night enveloped the army of mountain eagles. Within the domain of night rule, the power of black magic would be amplified, while elemental magic and white magic would be suppressed, resulting in confusion and numbness. Little Mu, can you at least leave some intact corpses? The bone man gave Mu Hongyun a somewhat resentful look. You've given me this death trap. Mu Hongyun was confused but shocked. Brother Mu, Bone Man is a necromancer. Letting you keep her whole body is so she can turn the dead mountain eagle into an undead. Red Sparrow instantly understood Mu Hongyun's misunderstanding and explained, covering her mouth. Damn it, why didn't you say so earlier? Resurrect, my drip AI human. Bone Man spread his arms and shook his head from side to side like a shaman on the grassland. Undead summoning, soul summoning. The gray gas swallowed the dead mountain eagle. There seemed to be living things swimming in the mysterious gas. Anyway, after the gray mist of the undead enveloped the corpse, pairs of scarlet flames ignited in the fog. With Bone Man's current cultivation level, being able to control 20 undead at the same time was already an extraordinary performance. Duckwee's expression became serious, and he carefully took out a small silver wine pot from his waist. Inside was Mendeo Donkey, a specialty that Duckwee bought in Hohot. Duckwee's innate talent is heat wave wine. In a drunken state, the more heightened the emotions, the stronger the flames become. Glug Glug Xiaoding watched Duckwee gulp down the drink, and said with some concern, Brother Duckwee, don't suffocate yourself, get lost, who are you calling a dirk? Before Xiaoding could finish speaking, Duckwee gulped it all down. Get out of my way. Duckwee's face instantly turned red, and without further ado, the blazing nebula beneath his feet ignited with scorching flames. Fierce Fist, 9 palaces, under high-level control. The 9 palace fire pillars fused into a ferocious fire dragon, its power, enhanced by its innate talent, approaching that of a high-level second-tier magic. The Crimson Dragon, entirely composed of flames, swooped down on the mountain eagles that had scattered outside the Nightfall's domain. Crimson flames instantly spread among the eagles, and huge fireballs continuously fell from the sky. Little Ding, protect Lingling well. Mu Hongyun rubbed his fists together. The knight's domination was the perfect cover for him. He was afraid of frightening the hunters on the ground if he used his full strength. Alright, Brother Mu, go ahead without worry. What are you saying? Say everything goes smoothly. Mu Hongyun glared at Little Ding. Brother Mu, everything goes smoothly. Little Ding smiled and corrected himself. Let's go. Mu Hongyun gave the order, and his body instantly launched into the air like a cannonball. Then, he used gravity to control his body and rushed into the knight's domination. Finally, I can fight without restraint. Mu Hongyun laughed and charged into the army of mountain-catching eagles. Every punch and kick carried a powerful repulsive force. With each punch, space was compressed, and the servant-level mountain-catching eagles were instantly turned into blood mist and exploded. Blood rained down from the sky. After Mu Hongyun activated the Willow God technique, his attacks carried a predatory power that could plunder the life force of the mountain-catching eagles and turn it into pure spiritual energy to replenish their bodies. Chapter 77 Freehand Technique, Golden Rock Capturing Dragon Technique. During the battle, Mu Hongyun's understanding of the 8-9 Heavens technique evolved automatically, seemingly absorbing and summarizing the feathered demon's fighting style. HMPH, hey, Mu Hongyun was fighting fiercely in the sky. Given time, he could indeed wipe out all these thousands of mountain-catching eagles. Unfortunately, Mu Hongyun sensed the dissipating dark aura and the impending collapse of the knight's domination. Mu Hongyun quickly delivered 2 more gravity compression fists before descending. The moment Mu Hongyun landed, the knight's domination completely vanished. The Bone Man, controlling 20 skeletal evil birds, said ferociously, "Little darlings, charge!" Thump, thump, thump. The undead evil birds flapped their heavy bone wings, soaring into the sky and swooping down on the mountain-catching eagles. Although these 20 undead evil birds were individually weaker than living mountain-catching eagles, the undead possessed immortality. Unless the necromantic fire within them was extinguished, the undead evil birds could continue attacking even after their heads were cut off. However, so far, the dead mountain eagles were only a drop in the ocean compared to the entire tribe. Soon, Hundreds of mountain eagles swooped down towards the ground, like a black flood falling from the sky. That location was precisely where the Zodiac Hunter was located. Tidal wave, flood. The curly-haired man, Li Gu, quickly connected to the star map, and the vast water transformed into a huge whirlpool, stopping in the path the mountain eagles were bound to take. Kanggu, activate the light shield, Li Gu roared loudly, turning his head to look at Kanggu, who was acting as the defensive mage. But when he looked at Kanggu, he suddenly froze. A red shadow flashed past, and Kanggu's upper body suddenly exploded, and a blood mist like fine sand brushed against Li Gu's cheek. The red demon falcon, like a sharp-tongued little woman, let out a wanton roar at Li Gu below. A huge rage surged in Li Gu's chest, as if a mountain was pressing down on him, making it hard to breathe. Kanggu was an elder of the Zodiac Hunters Guild, and Li Gu's mentor in the hunter world. In his heart, Kanggu was his most respected elder. Ice chains pierce. Li Gu covered half his face, his chest heaving, flames about to burst forth from his eyes. 6 thick, icy chains, like spider legs, extended from Li Gu's back, their chilling aura biting. The ice chains danced wildly like mad snakes, their sharp, pointed blades like the most agile killers, piercing through one mountain eagle after another, yet unable to strike the red demon falcon. Black Dog felt equally furious at Kanggu's death, but she was helpless against the red demon falcon's speed. The red demon falcon is too fast, Black Dog cried anxiously. The red demon falcon suddenly stopped in mid-air, some milky white matter on its beak, the brain matter of the recently deceased Kanggu. The brain matter of an old man doesn't taste very good. The red demon falcon rolled its bead-sized eyes, quickly aiming at its next target. It was Lingling, hiding behind Mu Hongyun. In the demon's eyes, the girl exuded a sweet fragrance. Whoosh, the crimson falcon charged again like a crimson bullet, but this time its luck seemed to be worse. Drinking a little horse piss makes you arrogant, daring to touch Lingling means your life is in danger. Mu Hongyun sensed the crimson falcon's attack direction, his eyes wide with shock. He could only say the crimson falcon was a true man. Golden Rock Dragon capturing technique, through the deduction and optimization of the Feathered Clan's attack methods in the 8-9 Heavens technique, the innate treasure technique of the ancient Golden Winged Rock Clan was calculated. Mu Hongyun's body was covered in a thick golden light, like a magnificent golden raptor spreading its wings and roaring behind him. His arms were like golden blades and wings. In a single exchange, the crimson falcon was crushed by Mu Hongyun's single hand. The crimson falcon is dead, Mu Hongyun shouted immediately after killing the crimson falcon. Screech, screech, seeing its beloved pet killed by humans, the great steel sparrow could no longer restrain itself. Its wingspan of 100 meters whips up a violent gale, instantly sending the mountain-catching eagle soldiers below flying about. Demon skill, crimson chariot. Under the sunlight, the great steel sparrow's body gradually became luminous, forged in fire, its form turning a glassy color. Golden firelight reflected in its pupils as its massive body swooped down towards the rocky barrier. A deafening roar. The great steel sparrow crashed directly into the rugged, terrifying rocky barrier. The rock, imbued with magical power, was not so easily breached. Though the ground shook, the rocky barrier remained unbroken. Demon punishment, heartbreak. The demon eye's hidden technique was finally triggered. A cursed constellation enveloped the demon eye like a suit of armor, and a malevolent demonic form leaped out from behind the rocky barrier. This demon had a blue face, fangs, and 2 horns on its forehead, wielding a chain in one hand and a sharp hammer in the other. Chains wreathed in black flames flew from the Rakshasa's hand, quickly binding the giant steel sparrow several times. Mu Hongyun, who was using lunar magic to clear out the minions, inadvertently glanced at the demon, which suddenly appeared like a small mountain, and exclaimed in fright, "My God, what is that thing? Don't make a fuss, it's just high-level curse magic," Lingling said calmly. Among the 19 sequences of magic, curse magic is one of the most mysterious, its rarity comparable to chaos magic. If Dorj was a balanced warrior-type mage, then Ghost Eye was a high-attack, high-speed assassin-type mage. The black flame chains bound the giant steel sparrow tightly, unable to break free for a while. The blue-faced Rakshasa demon lunged forward, its sharp hammer emitting a dark, eerie light, and smashed down hard towards the giant steel sparrow's heart. Damn, so the heartbreak of a level 3 ghost punishment is a physical heartbreak, Mu Hongyun exclaimed, his mouth agape in surprise. At first, when he heard this sacred magical sound, he thought it was an illusion, A way to make the victim see a scene that would break their heart. Clang, a crisp sound echoed through the sky. Crimson blood oozed from the great steel sparrow's body, and the damage to its soul from this blow was immense. It seemed as if the hammer was about to knock the great steel sparrow's soul out. Screech! With this blow, the great steel sparrow felt the world darken, even its cry became weak and feeble. Roar! Dorj, the Hunter King's South China Sand Flame Tiger, roared at the sky, its powerful aura instantly freezing the mountain-catching eagle clan. Dorj. This Sand Flame Tiger possessed a trace of Kunlun ancestral tiger blood, giving it a wild and untamed aura. Once the great steel sparrow died, the Sand Flame Tiger could force the mountain-catching eagles to retreat. Suddenly, Mu Hongyun's face lit up with joy. It turned out that Qinling had awakened from his state of enlightenment. A few days ago, after Mu Hongyun passed on the 8-9 heavens technique to Qinling, Qinling entered a state of enlightenment and stayed in the contract space for several days. Just now, the contract connection sent a message that Qinling had awakened. With a flash of golden light, Qinling abruptly appeared on Mu Hongyun's shoulder, his golden fur shining even brighter, and his dark pupils containing a divine golden light. Qingling's progress in these past few days has been extraordinary. Spatial abilities that he couldn't control before, he can now use at will. Chapter 78 The Snake Turns Over. Go protect Lingling. Mu Hongyun gently tapped Qingling's head and said. Juju, where's Meng Lan? Qinling came out but couldn't see Meng Lan, his big eyes filled with disappointment. Meng Lan went back to her hometown, Mu Hongyun said through mental connection. Old Yan, Ghost. I was struggling to control ghost punishment, but the great steel sparrow's resistance was obviously much stronger than before. Understood. Sacred technique, demon slaying sword. A strong light shone around Yan. Stars connected 1 or 2 interline, and a huge light-type star palace appeared above the mountain-catching eagle tribe. The light of the super-level star palace was completely blocked by them. Super-level light magic is known as the magic with the highest single target damage. Fall. Tianyan roared, and a vast cliff-peak light sword, as large as a city gate, fell from the clouds, instantly evaporating more than a dozen blind mountain-catching eagles. The true target of the light sword was the great steel sparrow, which was entangled by ghost punishment. Feather demons generally have very fragile heads, unlike the copper heads and iron bones of beast demons. The demon-slaying sword struck precisely at the head of the great steel sparrow, which was raised high. In a single exchange, half of the great steel sparrow's body melted under the demon-slaying sword. Dorj, the feather demon leader is dead. We can disperse these feather demon minions now, Tianyan shouted to Dorj. Dorj didn't need to say anything more. With a single thought, the Sand Flame Tiger understood his meaning. Roar, roar. The roar of a tiger in the mountains and forests was no joke. The voice of the tiger demons was like thunder on the ground. No wonder there was the saying tiger and leopard thunderous sound. Dorj's Sand Flame Tiger unleashed its commanding aura to its fullest. With a trace of the bloodline of the king of 10,000 demons, the dark clouds above its head immediately scattered in panic. Phew, that was close. I finally survived, Ziosi said with a wry smile, wiping the sweat from his face. Everyone, hurry. The blood and magical aura will attract a large number of demons. We can't stay here any longer, Dorj, clearly familiar with the natural laws of the grasslands, said with a drastic change in expression. What about the great steel sparrow's corpse? Someone asked reluctantly. After all, the corpse of a commander-level feather demon was quite valuable. Is money more important than life? Dorj roared. The group hurriedly collected their companion's corpse and then left in a rush. No one saw a small golden monkey carrying a small cloth bag running towards the great steel sparrow's corpse. The first battle in the ice plains resulted in significant losses. Azure Sky Hunting Grounds, no casualties. Great Meng Mastiff King Hunting Group, 2 killed, including the observer Huling. Great Meng 9 Nether Hunting Group, 1 killed. Great Meng Golden Sand Hunting Group, 1 killed. Kilu Ghost Eye Hunting Group, no casualties. Kilu Zodiac Hunting Grounds, Kangoo killed. Kilu 7 Seconds Hunting Group, 2 killed. Hilua Wind and Cloud Hunting Group, no casualties. 1 member of the Hello Iron Blade Hunting Group died in battle. 2 members of the Northeast Blood Wolf Hunting Group died in battle. No one died in the Northeast Snow Peak Hunting Group. More than 10 people died in this battle, including a high-level mage. Fortunately, the remaining members were all skilled fighters. After a while, Qian teleported back to Mu Hongyun's shoulder and handed him the cloth bag. Mu Hongyun had created a special dimension in this bag and refined it into a life-size object. Qian took it and put the corpse of the great steel sparrow into it. The further northwest they went, the lower the temperature became, and snow began to accumulate on the ground. Fire and ice mages could withstand the cold, and even those without these two elements had already undergone their first transformation and could tolerate the cold. Only Lingling, the unlucky little thing, was still an ordinary person, wearing layers upon layers of clothing in this bitterly cold land. The dark clouds in the sky were oppressive, and everyone was exhausted. Suddenly, Dorj raised his hand, indicating there was something ahead. Mu Hongyun patted Dakui and Xiaoding on the shoulders, signaling them to protect Lingling. He took a step forward, using his earth elemental supernatural ability to shrink the distance, appearing at the front of the group. Tianyan and Guiyan also joined him. 1,000 meters ahead in the gray darkness, there seemed to be a human-like black shadow. Mu Hongyun released his divine sense and confirmed it was indeed a person. Walking alone in the black forbidden zone, and even preparing to charge the hunters, this person was probably up to no good. Charging, hunter slang, referring to head-on charge. The mysterious person ignored the group's stop, remaining motionless. Even Mu Hongyun didn't notice that the surrounding mountains were slowly undulating, forming an encirclement. "Brother Mu, shall we go check it out?" Tianyan said. "Sure, I'll go first." Mu Hongyun instantly transformed into a golden rainbow of earth and disappeared underground, appearing within 100 meters of the mysterious person 3 seconds later. The mysterious figure clearly hadn't expected Mu Hongyun to appear in this way, and took a slight step back. Tianyan vanished into the shadows, his whereabouts unknown. From within 100 meters, Mu Hongyun could finally clearly see the mysterious figure's attire, a Zhenning, ferocious, black armor mask on his face, and a cloak resembling that from Assassin's Creed, but more intricate, with strange symbols embroidered on his chest. Suddenly, the mysterious figure raised his hand violently, causing the earth to churn and a huge cloud of dust to rise behind him. The mountain surrounding the hunters behind him suddenly exploded, and Dorj's head went blank. This scene reminded him of his first encounter with the Serpent Demon Lord. Sure enough, within this whirling dust, a gigantic, mountain-like body moved, its immense soul fire scattering a scarlet light, its malevolent aura assaulting the hunters. "It was you who did this," Mu Hongyun exclaimed in shock, his figure vanishing instantly as he reached for the mysterious figure. The mysterious figure was clearly prepared, a set of armor shimmering with dark light appearing on his arms. Mu Hongyun reached out and clashed palms with the mysterious man, sending him flying backward. The mysterious man was shocked again, his pupils dilating. What kind of monster was this guy? He almost destroyed a soul-level arm artifact with a single palm strike. Mu Hongyun was also slightly surprised. His opponent had somehow managed to withstand 60% of his power. "Interesting, but I don't have time to play with you." All the hunters were within the range of the Serpent Demon Lord's strangulation attack, so Mu Hongyun had to go back to save Lingling and the others first. Sword technique, golden thread robe. Mu Hongyun was enveloped in astonishing sword energy, charging towards the Serpent Demon Lord like a gold saint. One of the great characteristics of the undead is that, apart from light-based attacks, they feel no pain when attacked. Thousands of sword energies flowed along the Serpent Demon Lord's body, leaving deep marks on the surface of the bones. But the Serpent Demon Lord said it felt nothing at all. With a flick of its tail, the Serpent Demon Lord flattened a large area of rugged terrain. Hiss hiss hiss, the Serpent Demon Lord opened its enormous mouth, and a thick plume of black smoke billowed from the air above, as if it had eaten coconut shell charcoal. Even after transforming into an undead, serpent demons still retain their venomous properties. Chapter 79 of Foremost City. It's poison. Defensive mages, use shields. Ghost Eye instantly recognized the true nature of the gray mist. Light falls over the scales. Holy wall. Fortunately, there were quite a few light mages in the team. 3 Blades, Little 4, Silver Fox, and Pure White, leader of the 7-second hunting group, were all high-level light mages. After all, the awakening probabilities of light, water, and earth magic are what they are. These are the magic systems with the most awakened members. The dazzling constellations were like beacons in the black mist, lighting up one by one, bringing a touch of warmth to this desolate icy plain. Before the poisonous mist arrived, a warm, luminous barrier was successfully erected, perfectly protecting everyone inside. After traveling for nearly 10 days, they finally saw their destination. Mu Hongyun's heart couldn't help but pound with excitement. Boom! A soft sound rang out. It turned out that Mu Hongyun's key refining cultivation had broken through, and the spiritual energy vortex had finally been compressed, becoming a well of spiritual power. This spiritual well continuously absorbed the spiritual energy from the outside world, transforming it into more condensed and pure spiritual power, flowing fire, myriad manifestations. With his cultivation greatly increased, Mu Hongyun no longer needed to expend his energy suppressing the innate sword energy within his body. The domineering solar sword energy of Yanluo evolved into this exquisite sword strike. In an instant, everyone seemed to see the sun descending upon the sky. Mu Hongyun, holding the bone sword, leaped into the air, his gaze intense and domineering, unleashing this earth-shattering sword strike. The mysterious figure in the distance had its pupils dilate instantly. It sensed the aura of death in this sword strike. It was a sword technique with limitless potential. The solar energy within the sword energy stirred the fire elements in the outside world, the celestial fire in the sky, the terrestrial fire beneath the earth, and the human fire hidden within the fire elements. All were drawn by this supreme solar energy. The sword light was dazzling and brilliant, striking precisely at the vital point of the Death Serpent Demon Lord. The Serpent Demon Lord, who had felt nothing even when the sword energy pierced its bones, writhed in terror as the sword light approached, like a mudfish thrown into a frying pan. The Serpent Demon Lord immediately stopped spewing venom and raised its body high, but the sword energy still struck its vital point. Admittedly, Mu Hongyun currently lacked methods like Holy Light, Salvation, and Thunder Magic to counter evil spirits, but he possessed the most powerful Yang energy in the world, the true energy of the sun, which could subdue all yin and evil spirits. Holy crap, awesome, Xiaoding exclaimed excitedly, looking proud. Luckily we had Brother Mu this time, otherwise our entire hunt would have been over, Dakui said with emotion. Lingling looked at the streak of fire with hopeful eyes. Although Mu Hongyun always bullied her, she had to admit, that sword strike was indeed very cool. Wind disc, tornado, Xiao pointed one finger to the sky, his eyes arrogant. An ethereal star map instantly connected beneath his feet, and a powerful tornado, its diameter reaching 20 meters, appeared, sweeping away the surrounding poisonous mist. Golden Sands, Rock Demon's Eye, Earth Dragon Thorn. Dorj released the Sand Flame Tiger to protect everyone, then a pale golden light shone around him, less dazzling than light and less dim than earth. The gray-brown earth, dotted with a few specks of white, suddenly trembled, and countless rock fangs, seemingly imbued with light magic, surged from the ground. These fangs crisscrossed, passing precisely around the Serpent Demon Lord's body, wedging him tightly between them. Furthermore, these rock fangs were covered in golden runes, magic imbued with soul seeds. I've long heard that Chief Dorj obtained a top-grade Earth-type soul seed in the Hulan Mountains, and it's true, Ghost Eye forced a smile onto his stiff face. Chief Ghost Eye, at a time like this, don't hold back, let's attack side by side. Dorj cast a spell, a mysterious smile on his face. Mu Hongyun overheard their conversation and thought to himself, these hunters who have been traveling outside the realm for years are all shrewd. Purple Netherworld Thunder, punishment of the Thunder Ring, prohibition of the 9 rings. Ghost Eye indeed stopped holding back. The Purple Star Palace was half hidden in the clouds, like the palace of the Thunder God, coming to judge the Serpent Demon Lord on behalf of heaven. Thunder is the most yang element of heaven and earth, and it has a restraining effect on the dead. The Serpent Demon Lord sensed the majestic power coming from the sky, and his soul fire subconsciously shrank. Fall. Ghost Eye Hunter King uttered a single word lightly, but it was like a heavy hammer hitting the Serpent Demon Lord. Within the magnificent Thunder Star Palace, 9 enormous halberds descended one by one, striking the body of the Serpent Demon Lord without missing a single one. Thousands of lightning snakes exploded on the Serpent Demon Lord's body, annihilating its deathly aura. With most of the deathly aura purified, the Serpent Demon Lord's strength was reduced by about 30%. While the Serpent Demon Lord was indeed a Grand Monarch undead, these high-level mages were no pushovers. Dorj, Ghost Eye, and Bian Yan were all seasoned veterans of practical combat, spending their entire year either fighting or on their way to battle. Hiss hiss hiss. The Serpent Demon Lord's roar was like a demonic sound, tormenting everyone's ears. Everyone's attention was focused on the Serpent Demon Lord, except for Mu Hongyun, who went to find the mysterious person who had summoned it. Mu Hongyun released his divine sense and indeed found it 5 kilometers away. It moved as leisurely as if strolling in a garden, yet appeared and disappeared like a ghost. But these things meant nothing to Mu Hongyun. Once locked onto by divine sense, there was no escape, no matter where you went. Mu Hongyun used lunar magic to pull Lingling over. No one on the other battlefield could take care of Lingling, so it was better to keep her by his side like a balloon. Are you using me as an accessory? Lingling said arrogantly, her tone dismissive. Congratulations on guessing correctly, little Lingling. Too bad there's no reward. Mu Hongyun pinched Lingling's chubby cheek and chuckled mischievously. What are your thoughts on that mysterious person? Lingling suddenly asked halfway through. I bet you already knew. Let's say it together. The two looked at each other and slowly uttered 4 words, descendants of the Zhao Kingdom. Dorj had said that the demon lord of the dead serpent was a descendant of the demon lord of the Zhao Kingdom, and that the descendants of the Zhao Kingdom's monarch had come with a demon lord. It's likely that the beast sacrificing techniques of the grasslands were passed down by the descendants of the Zhao state. Ancient people often held back some techniques when teaching their apprentices, and these techniques eventually disappeared. The grassland people probably learned a fragmented version of the beast sacrificing techniques, and then strayed further and further down the wrong path. In a few dozen seconds, Mu Hongyun caught up with the mysterious man in black armor. Greedy outsider, you will suffer the retribution of the sacrificial spirits. At this moment, the mysterious man finally spoke his first words. Contrary to expectations of a rough, middle-aged man, he was actually a somewhat aloof, mature young woman. What do you mean by that? Before Mu Hongyun could finish his sentence, the gray clouds in the sky quietly parted, and a head as large as a city slowly emerged. Chapter 80 The Bone Dragon in the Clouds. No wonder the environment of the icy plains was so gloomy. It turned out that a colossal demon, blotting out the sun, lurked above the clouds. Even with Mu Hongyun's unwavering resolve, his blood ran cold upon seeing this colossal creature, its imposing presence like the abyss. This was definitely a demon on par with Mr. Key. Damn it, run! Judging from the shape of the monster's head, it was a resurrected undead dragon, its single horn on its forehead radiating a dark red light, its body surrounded by fiery clouds. Its ferocious and terrifyingly large body remained hidden behind the clouds. For some reason, the dragon demon lord above the clouds did not attack Mu Hongyun and Lingling, but instead flew towards the undead serpent demon lord. On the ancient icy plains, the oppressive sky and gloomy earth resembled an apocalyptic oil painting, the undead giant serpent, shackled by flames and lightning, writhing wildly. This was called divine retribution. Soon, the sky turned completely dark. Seventh Master was puzzled as to why it got dark so quickly. It wasn't until Yunfeng of the Snow Peak hunting group pointed tremblingly at the sky and asked, "What's that?" Tian Yan, Ghost Eye, Dorj, Silver Fox, and the others looked up at the sky together, and then they saw a scene they would never forget. In the deep clouds, a black shadow even more majestic than the heavenly wolf pass appeared, and in the center of the shadow, 2 red lights, more dazzling than diamonds, appeared. Impossible, even the undead are using the from childhood to old age tactic now. Chenin frowned, his mouth agape in surprise. Let's get out of here. Dorj, you're a damn liar. Tianyan immediately abandoned his post and told the Iron Blade hunting group to prepare to flee. The one above them was at least a supreme monarch, let alone 3 super rank beings, even 3 more might not be a threat to it. Even Ghost Eye felt a chill of fear. Damn it, Dorj. I'm going to be killed. In this era where emperors never leave their mountains and forbidden spells never take effect, the supreme being is the heavens of nature. Upon discovering the monarch, the hunters scattered in all directions. Duqui and Xiaoding fled with the Snow Peak hunting group, and coincidentally, their escape route led them to Mu Hongyun and Lingling. The Golden Sand hunting group and the 9 Nether hunting group rode Dorj's Sand Flame Tiger back along the path they had come from. Unexpectedly, a terrifying white bone claw descended from the sky. The giant white bone claw, wreathed in azure flames, had only 3 fingers, yet it was larger than the Sand Flame Tiger, which was as large as a small mountain. The Sand Flame Tiger roared like thunder, and flames more beautiful than roses bloomed on this barren land. But in the Sand Flame Tiger's pupils, the terrifying, towering white bone claw grew larger and larger until it surpassed the sky, encompassing the entire area and the surrounding land with a single claw. In an instant, the azure flames assimilated the Sand Flame Tiger into a skeleton, along with the people on its back. The members of the Golden Sand hunting group and the 9 Nether hunting group didn't even feel pain before becoming undead. Seeing this carnage, the others fled even more desperately. Duqui and Xiaoding followed the Snow Peak hunting group in the opposite direction, while the others ran southeast, the direction they had come from. Only these 5 ventured deeper northwest. They thus escaped with their lives from the skeletal dragon in the clouds. After traveling about 20 kilometers, they finally stopped, clutching their hearts and sitting down. It was incredibly thrilling. They had actually survived the clutches of the undead supreme being. Wow, that was close. Xiaoding plopped down on the ground, panting heavily. At this moment, he finally understood what happiness truly meant. When we get to Shanghai, I'll stick to city quests. Wilderness quests are inhuman. Facing 2 monarchs in one day, including a supreme monarch, is a truly surreal experience. Even experienced hunters like Duqui, who's only been out of school for a few years, have never encountered a supreme monarch before. It's not that few people encounter them, but few return alive. After this, I won't take on any more wilderness quests. I'll just stick to city quests, Duqui said, clutching his heart. The pressure from the towering, skeletal dragon in the clouds was immense. Wait, if Dorj dies, who will we ask for our reward? Yunfeng, who had been sitting quietly for a while, suddenly jumped up and asked. Don't worry about that. It's written in the Hunters' Agreement. The Hunters' Alliance will transfer Dorj's funds to us, Silver Fox said, lighting a cigarette. Hey, isn't that Brother Mu? And Chief Ling, Chenin, formerly an observer for the Snow Peak hunting group, had sharp eyes and spotted 3 figures in the west. Although he couldn't make out their faces, he recognized them as Mu Hongyun and Lingling from their figures. In the blink of an eye, Mu Hongyun, Lingling, and the mysterious man behind them floated over. Brother Mu, Chief Ling, upon their return, Silver Fox, Yunfeng, and Shannon greeted them. Brother Mu, Duqui and Xiaoding quickly stood up and looked at Mu Hongyun and Lingling. After Mu Hongyun approached the 5 of them, he pushed a mysterious man behind him. He might know something. At this moment, the mysterious man's hands were bound by a pair of chains, which imprisoned the magical energy in his body, preventing him from using any magic. Wearing a mask, do you think you're the Prince of Lamling? Yunfeng stepped forward and unceremoniously removed the demon mask from the mysterious man's face. Unexpectedly, the face beneath the mask startled everyone. Behind the ghostly mask was the face of a beautiful young girl. In other words, this mysterious person was only 18 or 19 years old. The thought of an 18 or 19-year-old girl frightening a group of old hunters made Silver Fox stare blankly as he lit his cigarette. Yunfeng's prepared words vanished upon seeing the girl's face. He could only open his mouth wide, unable to utter a word. Get out of here, you lowlife. Xiaoding laughed and kicked Yunfeng aside, then walked up to the girl and asked, what are you doing here? Did you have to send 2 idiots to insult me? The girl asked, glaring at Mu Hongyun with resentment. Xiaoding? Yunfeng? If I'm not mistaken, your surname is Zhao, right? Lingling, who had been observing coldly, suddenly spoke. A ripple appeared in the girl's eyes, but she remained defiant and silent. That giant undead serpent is the monster you created using your beast sacrificing technique, isn't it? Mu Hongyun changed the subject. Sure enough, after mentioning the beast sacrificing technique, the girl's eyes changed. And she said coldly, I advise you to release me. If I don't get home before dark, my father will definitely come looking for me. Chapter 81 Black Storm. Keep bragging. We have 3 high-level mages, 2 mid-level mages, and 1 expert comparable to a super-level mage, Yunfeng said smugly. No matter how you look at it, we have a better chance of winning. Shut up, Yunfeng. Silver Fox glared at Yunfeng in displeasure. Revealing the strength of other hunters in the hunter world is a major taboo. Fine, I won't talk to you anymore. Yunfeng realized he was wrong, slapped himself hard, and then got up and walked away. The sky gradually darkened, and everyone was afraid that the Supreme Being would launch a counterattack. They hadn't even lit a campfire, but fortunately, the stars on the grasslands shone brightly, and the moonlight was like a jade plate. Let's retreat tomorrow. Dorj is sacrificed. Forget about the Beast Bone Temple. With our few pieces of meat, we won't even fill that Supreme Being's teeth, Yunfeng said dejectedly. What are you talking about? What do you mean by few pieces of meat? Can't you speak properly? Silver Fox felt like she was about to be driven crazy by this stupid disciple. Finally leaving this awful place, Mu Hongyun felt a pang of melancholy. Suddenly, his soul trembled. The adorable head, Divine ability reminded him again that something bad was about to happen. Mu Hongyun hurriedly looked up to observe the celestial phenomena and found his destiny star dim. Combining this with a hidden image, divine ability, he calculated that in half an hour, a massive black storm would sweep across the Qinling grassland. Black storm, a natural disaster that occurs in grasslands and deserts, manifesting as a hurricane carrying man-eating black sand. It is a level stronger than a whirlwind, and even the weakest black storm can rival super-level magic. Damn it, we can't wait until tomorrow, we have to leave now. Mu Hongyun stood up and said with a gloomy expression. Why do you say that? Lingling, Silver Fox, Dakui, and Xiaoding looked at Mu Hongyun in confusion, waiting for his explanation. Black storm. The black storm is coming in 1 hour, Mu Hongyun said directly. Black storm. Silver Fox's pupils contracted first. In fact, before accepting the grassland mission, each hunting group had gathered information on the Qinling grassland, with the most information being about the black storm. All grassland hunters were terrified of the black storm. Very few had actually seen it, and those who survived it were fewer than a handful in the entire Celestial Empire. Although it was unclear how Mu Hongyun knew this, Silver Fox believed he wouldn't speak without reason and immediately called Yunfeng and Chen and to prepare for evacuation. Will there really be a black storm? Lingling tugged at Mu Hongyun's arm, her eyes sparkling. Most likely. No wonder this place is a black forbidden zone. You could encounter deadly danger at any moment. Mu Hongyun took the opportunity to pinch Lingling's cheek again. You want to die? Lingling frowned, stomped her foot, and kicked Mu Hongyun twice fiercely. In less than 5 minutes, everyone was ready. Mu Hongyun used lunar magic to lift them up. All directions were dead ends, offering no hope of survival. Mu Hongyun randomly chose a direction, leaving it to fate. The night was cloudless, and a huge full moon hung in the sky like a jade plate, illuminating the barren ice plains. I smell my father's scent. You're all doomed. Suddenly, the beautiful girl, chained up, spoke, her large, beautiful eyes blinking. A cold smile appearing on her face. Don't worry, if your father wants to kill us, we'll kill you first, Mu Hongyun said without changing his expression. On the desolate ice plains, besides barren plants, there were only white bones. The wind grew even more biting, somewhat like a whirlwind, but not a soft blade. It was a cold, hard knife. Lingling activated a cloak-like magical artifact to sharpen the knife like wind. When my father comes, even if you beg me, I won't let you go, the girl said angrily to Mu Hongyun. Say one more word, and I bet I'll kill you right now. Mu Hongyun glared at her fiercely. The girl shrank back in fear. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the sound of artillery fire came from behind. Under the moonlight, a burly figure strode towards them. The so-called artillery fire was actually the sound of his landing, each step kicking up huge clouds of dust, his speed like a thunderclap. Anyone who dares to touch my daughter, I'll kill them. In less than 10 seconds, he was within 100 meters of them. Mu Hongyun stepped forward alone, exchanging a punch with the charging beast. Thud, this time it was a very dull sound, like a muffled thunderclap, striking everyone's eardrums. The force of the punches created a large crater beneath their feet. Mu Hongyun's left sleeve ripped open, while the purple scales on the burly man's arm remained unmoved. Not bad, you actually managed to catch my punch, the purple-scaled monster's voice boomed like thunder. This monster has incredible strength, the same thought flashed through Mu Hongyun's mind. As they drew closer, the group finally saw the monster's face. By the starlight, they were astonished to discover that the newcomer was a muscular, 2-meter-tall man. Only his right arm was covered in purple scales, the rest of his body was completely human. He was clearly surprised that Mu Hongyun had managed to catch his punch. Father, the girl cried out excitedly upon seeing the giant. Lingling coldly said from the side, Xiaoding, keep an eye on her. If things go wrong, kill her, you dare. The giant's fierce gaze instantly turned towards Lingling, but was blocked by Mu Hongyun in front of him. Mu Hongyun ripped off his shirt, revealing muscles as if forged from steel. If you want to save people, you'll have to get past me first. Mu Hongyun smiled playfully, measuring his neck with his hand. The burly man frowned, purple veins bulging on his left hand, and purplish-black scales broke through the skin, covering his left arm. You asked for this, the purple-scaled giant roared, golden rock dragon capturing technique. Mu Hongyun's entire body was covered in flame-like golden light, his figure increasingly resembling a golden winged rock, his speed increasing dramatically. Bang bang bang. With both his movement and attack speed drastically increased, Mu Hongyun's golden fists relentlessly pounded the purple-scaled giant's chest and abdomen. With a final strike, Golden Rock spreads its wings. The purple-scaled giant was instantly sent flying, leaving a 100-meter-long chasm in the ground. Little Mu, the black storm is coming. The sharp-eyed Chenin once again spotted the overwhelming black sandstorm in the distance, accompanied by howling winds. Instantly, a sense of awe for heaven and earth arose in everyone's hearts. The black storm, stretching for an unknown distance, swept across like a mountain range. The white-boned dragons in the clouds that had previously obscured the sun appeared exceptionally small before the black storm. Hey bastard, why don't you stop first and wait until we get through the black storm? Of course, if you don't want to, I can choose to kill you on the spot. Mu Hongyun had already prepared his heaven-splitting palm and five-finger fist heart sword. Give me back my daughter, and I'll leave, the burly man said calmly. It was your daughter who attacked us first, Yunfeng said somewhat sarcastically. If someone came to your house and tried to steal your property, would you remain indifferent? The burly man glanced at him coldly. I can. Mu Hongyun waved his hand slightly, and the girl floated towards the purple-scaled burly man. There was no need to argue about these trivial matters. Surviving was the most important thing now. At this moment, the black storm was less than 5 kilometers away from them. After rescuing the girl, the purple-scaled burly man did not leave on the spot but stared at the black storm and said heavily, no one can outrun the black storm. The only way is to enter the black storm. Only in this way can we find a glimmer of hope. As the black storm drew closer, Mu Hongyun seemed to see a huge outline within it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Yin Ruin's Ancient City. Mu Hongyun instantly pulled Lingling close, saying in a low voice, Lingling, hold on tight to me. Everyone else, hold on tight and don't separate. Light element mages can activate their defenses. Light falls across the land. Holy armor. Silver Fox opened his hands, arming his body with a light constellation. He casually conjured high-level level 3 magic. A wave of golden ripples emanated from his palm, and those affected were instantly encased in light elemental armor. Light blessing, protection, light blessing, neural. Golden star charts lit up beneath Xiaoding and Yunfeng's feet, and level 2 and level 3 light blessings activated simultaneously. A thick semicircular shield instantly appeared around the seven, with the golden tadpole runes flowing across its surface. Outside the light elemental shield, a light elemental mural, like a moat, encircled them, inscribed with a vast landscape. The abyss-like, earth-devouring black storm, like a world-destroying monster, finally descended upon them. The black storm, seemingly moving slowly, was actually faster than a gale, enveloping the seven like crushing a small insect. The moment the man-eating black sands made contact with a defensive magic, the painted wall was pierced through, instantly shattering into diamond-shaped fragments that dissipated into the air. The Guardian's luster also rapidly diminished. It wouldn't last more than a few seconds. Mu Hongyun quickly threw out over a dozen light spirit talismans, which adhered to the inner wall of the Guardian, reinforcing its defense. Even so, it was only a temporary fix. The Guardian would eventually shatter. Everyone, prepare to activate your armored magical artifacts, Mu Hongyun roared. More light spirit talismans flew out, but this time they weren't attached to the inner wall of the Guardian, but rather stuck to the surface of the saint cloth. The light spirit talismans would strengthen the saint cloth. At this moment, Mu Hongyun regretted not having learned the staff dismantling technique sooner, the art of weapon crafting, to forge magical treasures for himself. Mu Hongyun released his divine sense, only to find no way out, indicating the black storm's vast extent, exceeding even his divine sense's range. 20 seconds later, the Guardian shattered without warning. The man-eating black sand struck the group's luminous armor directly, the indirect force causing them to groan. Light spirit talismans spontaneously combusted, turning to ash and carried away by the black storm. The group struggled forward against the strong winds. Their holy armor offered significantly better defense than the Guardian, but could only last 5 or 6 minutes. In Mu Hongyun's eyes, the outline of the black shadow ahead grew clearer, filling him with dread. What kind of monster could possess such a massive body? 3 minutes later, the seven looked at each other, bewildered by the enormous structure before them. Who could have imagined that the Black Storm, dubbed a natural disaster, concealed an ancient city? Yet, the city remained eerily silent within the storm, its stillness adding to its strangeness. Just as the group was still in shock, the city gates suddenly roared open, revealing remarkably well-preserved buildings inside. As the seven hesitated about entering, a cracking sound rang out. The Saint Cloth was breaking apart. Let's go. Maybe this is the glimmer of hope that big man spoke of. Hongyun gritted his teeth and strode inside. Once all seven were inside, the massive stone gates closed by themselves, without anyone pushing them open. Upon entering this strange city, the black storm that had been engulfing them vanished immediately. Quite strange indeed. Inside, the seven discovered the city was truly magnificent. On either side of the city stood two colossal statues. The architectural style bore a slight resemblance to ancient China, composed of stone and bones, the bones themselves being enormous, likely taken from at least a commander-level demon. How amazing! There's an ancient city inside the Black Storm, and we can't feel the storm at all while inside, Yunfeng said with a relieved smile. Really? Do you think this city might be the work of some great ancient magician? Xiaoding asked, his imagination running wild. It's hard to say. I just found a blackbird pattern on the city gate. Lingling jumped down from Hongyun's arms and said seriously. Blackbird, except for Silver Fox, who seemed thoughtful. Everyone else looked blank, not knowing what the blackbird pattern meant. Blackbird is the totem of the Yin Ruin civilization, Hongyun said tentatively. He didn't know anything about the blackbird in the magical world, but in his past life, the blackbird was the totem of the Yin Shang dynasty. Lingling looked at Hongyun with great surprise, clearly not expecting him to know this. Except for Silver Fox, everyone else still looked blank, obviously not knowing about the Yin Shang dynasty. Hongyun was unaware that unlike his previous life, this world, due to magic, had a much longer lifespan for dynasties. The Qin dynasty was 7,000 years ago, and the Shang dynasty, needless to say, dates back 10,000 years. However, the Shang dynasty of 10,000 years ago, like Atlantis in the ocean, was erased from history, leaving only a name. It wasn't until the discovery of the Yin ruins in the Helluo region in modern times that the name reappeared in the eyes of the national leadership. After Lingling explained to everyone, their expressions went from surprise to shock. Who could have imagined that this ancient, tranquil city was built 10,000 years ago? After more than 10,000 years, how is it still so intact? Duckui was still somewhat incredulous. Perhaps it's the power of ancient magic, Lingling said, shaking her head. Everyone, do you think that since this is a city from 10,000 years ago, there might still be some treasures preserved inside? Yunfeng suddenly revealed a meaningful smile. Yes, Lingling, don't you think so? Duckui also became excited and asked Lingling. Go ahead and explore if you want, but it's best to go in pairs. Duckui, you go with Xiaoding. Remember to meet up here, Lingling waved her hand and said. Yay, Xiaoding immediately jumped up with a big smile. Yunfeng looked pitifully at Yinhu. Yinhu glanced at him and said calmly, you and Shannon go together. Be careful and don't forget to come back to meet up. Don't worry, Master, I know what I'm doing. As soon as Yunfeng heard Yinhu's agreement, he immediately pushed Shannon into the city. Hey, don't push me, I can walk by myself. Hongyun was also very curious about the Yin ruins culture of this world. After greeting Yinhu, he and Lingling walked inside. In the center of the city was a huge building, as magnificent as an ancient palace. There were 72 steps in front of the central gate alone. On both sides of the vermilion bronze gate sat a stone statue of a strange beast, about the size of a war general or demon. This should be a building like the city lord's mansion, Hongyun said calmly. The number of steps is 8 or 9, so it must be the palace of some feudal lord, Lingling said, looking at the steps in front of the gate. Suddenly, the Hongyun Qishingu hidden in Hongyun's fort emitted an excited signal, seemingly sensing something exciting. Chapter 83 Purple Gold Dragon Key Golden Liquid. Lingling, wait a minute, I think I've discovered something, Hongyun called out to Lingling, who was striding forward. Guided by the Hongyun Qishingu, he arrived in front of a tall golden statue. Lingling immediately stopped and followed behind Hongyun. This tall golden statue stood in front of the prince's mansion. Compared to the 72 steps that formed the foundation of the mansion, The golden statue was still a head shorter. The statuette, adorned with a golden sword, stood on 5 dragons, wore a wide robe decorated with azure clouds, had long hair flowing down its shoulders, and possessed sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes. Although its face was gentle, it had an undeniable air of dominance. Lingling, could this statue be the master of the prince's mansion? Mu Hongyun asked the knowledgeable Lingling. It doesn't seem like it. If it were a prince, his statue would be facing away from the mansion. But this golden statue faces the mansion directly and is a head taller than the mansion's main gate. It must be someone even more noble than a prince. Lingling adjusted her non-existent glasses and analyzed. More noble than feudal lords, isn't that a king? Mu Hongyun exclaimed, slapping his thigh. It should be a king from the Shang dynasty, but the Magic Association's research on the Shang dynasty is almost non-existent, so I can't identify which king it is. Lingling shook her little head, looking incredibly cute. Aren't there oracle bone scripts here? Write them down, and we'll look them up slowly when we get back, Mu Hongyun said, releasing the Hongyun Qinling oracle bone scripts. That's the name you gave to ancient characters. Not bad. Lingling looked at Mu Hongyun, her eyes filled with disbelief. What are you talking about? Do I look like someone so uncultured? Through the Hongyun Qinling, Mu Hongyun could see a magnificent purple gold dragon coiled around the golden statue. Of course, this was also a kind of fortune. This statue is an image of King Shang. Could this fortune be the imperial fortune of King Shang? Mu Hongyun pondered, while his other hand began to activate the Hongyun Qinling, absorbing the purple gold dragon's energy. Lingling actually took out a pen and notebook and ran to the base of the statue to record those strange characters. The purple gold dragon key originally didn't want to submit to the auspicious fortune goo, but unfortunately, the auspicious fortune goo was a goo worm specifically designed to counter luck, a masterpiece created by a certain immortal venerable from another world. Halfway through absorbing the purple gold dragon key, the dragon and tiger true scripture caused trouble again. Something in the feudal lord's mansion exerted a great temptation on Mu Hongyun's body. Holy crap, I finally got this incredible wealth, Mu Hongyun shouted inwardly. He used to read novels where the protagonist had to make a fortune, and he wondered why he didn't have that kind of treatment. Unexpectedly, after seemingly no way out, a new path opened up. Feeling the excitement of the dragon and tiger profound intent within his body, the allure of the auspicious fortune goo intensified. After about 10 minutes, seeing that Lingling hadn't finished copying, Mu Hongyun said, Lingling, Qinling will stay with you. I'll go explore the prince's mansion first. Once you're done copying, come find me with Qinling. Okay. Lingling was busy copying and didn't pay attention to Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun raised his hand and placed the Hongyun Qinling back into his shining acupoint, a gesture known as good fortune at the head. After putting Qinling down, Mu Hongyun strode towards the prince's mansion, climbing the 72 steps in the blink of an eye. Arriving at the wide gate, Mu Hongyun, fearing there might be a restriction on it, secretly tested it with gravity. Unexpectedly, without any warning, the gate opened. Unlike the city gates that rattled like thunder when pushed open, the vermilion central gate of this prince's mansion was equally enormous, but it opened without making a sound. Pushing open the central gate, a clear pond came into view, surrounded by high walls painted with landscapes such as green mountains, red suns, and egrets. A winding covered walkway stretched across the pond. This scene reminded Mu Hongyun of a poem. Flowers and grasses bury secluded paths in the Wu Palace. The robes and hats of the Jin dynasty have become ancient mounds. If this place were the palace of the king of Wu, the winding covered walkway would be the quiet path hidden by flowers and grass. Although there was no ghostly or eerie atmosphere, there was a strange feeling about it. Mu Hongyun carefully crossed the covered walkway, and nothing happened. After crossing the walkway, the space suddenly widened, and a main road branched into 4 smaller paths. Following the feeling of dragon marrow and tiger bones, Mu Hongyun walked in one direction. The further he went, the more broken weapons appeared on both sides of the path, and the more intense the murderous and bloody aura became. This put Mu Hongyun on high alert. Was this a slaughterhouse, given the intense aura of blood? The path led to a vast bluestone plaza. Upon reaching it, Mu Hongyun realized where he was, a training ground. The source of the malevolent and bloody aura was a large bronze cauldron in the center of the plaza. With 2 handles, 3 legs, and a plump belly, it was a genuine Xiaoshang dynasty cauldron. The cauldron's exterior was exquisitely crafted. Although made of bronze, it looked like it was made of jade, perfectly formed, radiating a faint, emerald light. The substance that had caused the dragon marrow and tiger bone to tremble was inside the cauldron. Though it was at least 5 meters tall, Hongyun would have to fly to see its interior. Inside the cauldron, a thin layer of golden liquid remained, and this liquid held an astonishing allure for Hongyun. Good stuff, Hongyun chuckled, waving his hand to store the cauldron into his magic pot. Hongyun then thoroughly surveyed the surrounding area of the training ground, finding nothing else of value. It seemed the only valuable thing was the golden liquid. Hongyun pursed his lips, put his hands behind his back, and planned to check the other 3 directions. But suddenly, a thunderous sound came from the horizon. Hongyun frowned, remembering that it was the sound of the city gate opening. Had someone come in again? Hongyun didn't want to think too much about it. He used his earth element, divine power and, relying on Qion's positioning, instantly appeared next to Lingling. You heard it too, it seems to be the sound of the city gate opening. Lingling was already immune to Hongyun's unpredictable appearances and wasn't surprised at all. She said to Hongyun with a serious expression. Let's go take a look. Qion scurried onto Hongyun's shoulder. And Hongyun, carrying Lingling, flew towards the city gate. Silver Fox had remained in place, and the tall city gate was indeed open, but there was no one in sight. Silver Fox said, "What's going on? Did someone come in?" Hongyun asked. "No, I'm wondering the same thing. The city gate just opened by itself," Silver Fox said, smoking a cigarette. 2 or 3 minutes later, Xiaoding returned alone, looking quite accomplished. "Senior brother Xiaoding, why are you alone?" "Where's senior brother Dakui?" Lingling asked anxiously, seeing only Xiaoding return. "Brother Dakui was called away by Yunfeng and Chen to help. I heard some commotion here, so I came to check," Xiaoding said, scratching his head. Hearing this, Lingling breathed a sigh of relief. "Since the city gate is open, it's either in or out." "Does that mean we have to go out?" Lingling boldly guessed. "Then, Silver Fox, are you coming out with us to check, or are you waiting here?" "I'll wait here. With Yunfeng's intelligence, if he doesn't see us when he comes back, I'm afraid he'll cause some more trouble," Silver Fox said, taking a drag of his cigarette. "All right, the 3 of us will go out and see if the black storm has passed." Hongyun nodded. He believed Yunfeng wouldn't do something so stupid. Please vote for the first shot of September. Chapter 84. Watching the chess game in Rodnak's handle. Hongyun extended his hand to Lingling, who naturally took it. The 3 walked fearlessly towards the city gate. The tall gate stood silently, like a seasoned warrior, quietly guarding this ancient city. Hongyun looked back, and Silver Fox, who had been watching them, smiled at them, indicating there were no problems. "Let's go," Hongyun said in a low voice, and the 3 stepped out of the gate together. Whoosh, a blinding light appeared before their eyes, and the 3 instinctively raised their hands to shield their eyes from the glare. Company Commander, there are people here." While shielding himself from the light, Hongyun suddenly heard voices in a cacophony of sounds outside. Opening his eyes, he found himself in a different world: springtime sunshine, blue skies and white clouds, lush grass beneath his feet, and in the distance, military mages in uniform. What happened? The city was clearly in the icy plains. How did they suddenly appear on the grasslands? Hongyun froze, seemingly still in shock. Lingling and Xiaoding had similar expressions. They had entered that tranquil ancient city from the impoverished icy plains, and now they were on a lush grassland. "Hello, I am Ai Jiangtu, the battalion commander of the 3rd Battalion of Xianlang Pass Fortress. Could you please show me your hunter's credentials?" A young man with dark, or rather, bronze skin hurried over and asked the group. "Qingshan Hunting Grounds." Lingling took out her hunter's badge and flashed it to Ai Jiangtu. Qingshan Hunting Grounds. Hearing this name, and considering the 3's physiques, a girl, a boy, and a good-for-nothing, Xiaoding thought, "You think you're funny." Ai Jiangtu excitedly pulled out his walkie-talkie and said, "3rd Battalion, target found, quantity achieved." Hongyun frowned and said, "Brother, what's going on?" He was completely bewildered. Were these military mages specifically looking for them? In truth, Ai Jiangtu was also somewhat confused. He only knew that the northern military region had issued 3 urgent military orders to the Xianlang Pass Fortress, determined to find the 3 members of the Qingshan hunting group, dead or alive. You've been missing in the restricted area for over 3 months. President Wu Yong of the Shanghai Supreme Court and Dean Zhao of Mingzhu Academy have both come to our fortress demanding your release, Ai Jiangta said calmly. Over 3 months, Mu Hongyun and Lingling exclaimed in surprise. Yes, over 3 months. 2 months ago, the leader of the Fengyan hunting group came out alone, which means you encountered the Supreme Monarch inside. When the Supreme Monarch was mentioned, a hint of awe flashed in Ai Jiangtu's eyes. How is that possible? We've only been traveling for less than half a month, how could it be 3 months? Didn't you suffer from the Black Storm here? Lingling asked casually. Black Storm, you mean the one over 2 months ago? How could we not have suffered from it? That was the largest black storm I've encountered in all these years, Ai Jiangta said with a sigh. 2 months ago, Mu Hongyun and Lingling exchanged a glance, both seeing the shock in each other's eyes. It was true, 2 months ago, they had entered the ancient city, and in just a short time inside, more than 2 months had passed in the outside world. This experience was simply too terrifying. Could that ancient city stop time? Mu Hongyun first checked Meng Lan's travel schedule, and sure enough, there was still more than a month until her next trip. Last time, Meng Lan's return for rest took 4 months. Looking back, there was nothing behind them, not even a shadow of the ancient city. Only Xiao Ding belatedly realized what was happening, and after a moment of realization, the three of them felt a chill run down their spines. The three of them followed Ai Jiangtu in a daze for an hour, finally feeling relieved when they saw the majestic Xianlang Pass. Xianlang Pass Fortress Commander Fan Dongyun personally accompanied Dean Xiao and Old Man Bao out of the pass. Old Man Bao, seeing Lingling again, instantly burst into tears. This old man is quite sentimental. Lingling, Old Bao vanished instantly, reappearing in front of Lingling the next second. Grandpa, Lingling hugged Old Bao. Dean Xiao, accompanied by Commander Fan, approached, smiling, and said, Little Mu, are you alright? Thank you for your concern, I'm fine. Mu Hongyun nodded. If you're alright, why don't you call Mr. Qi and let him know you're safe? Right, where's Mr. Qi? At this question, Dean Xiao's face darkened. He said, you've been missing for over 3 months. Mr. Qi insists it's the Mu family's doing, and he's been blocking the Mu family's way for over a month. Mu Hongyun never expected Mr. Qi to be so ruthless, actually going so far as to block the gates of the great Mu clan for his sake. Mu Hongyun had no doubt that if news of his death were to break, Mr. Qi would definitely summon the Golden Ape Emperor from the Qinling Mountains and flatten Mu Pang Mountain with a single kick. Beep beep beep. Mu Hongyun picked up the satellite phone and called Qi Daochin. Hello, Mr. Qi on the other end seemed to still be negotiating with the Mu family. It's me, Mr. Qi, I'm back, Mu Hongyun said with a touched smile. I know, I can already sense Qi Tian's presence. Qi Daochin stood before Mount Mu Pang, smiling, glancing at Mu Filun who had come out to negotiate, before transforming into golden light and soaring into the sky. Seeing Qi Daochin leave, Mu Filun's smiling face instantly turned icy cold. When had his dignified Mu clan ever suffered such humiliation? Now, their Mu clan was practically a laughingstock in the International Clan Alliance. They're just a bunch of beasts, daring to ride roughshod over the Mu family. This cannot be allowed to continue. Mu Filun entered Mount Mutpang with a grim expression. He needed to devise a plan to eliminate the threat from Mu Hongyun and Qi Daochin. In the main conference room of the Xianlang Pass Fortress, Mu Hongyun took a sip of tea and said solemnly, This is a long story. To you, we've been missing for over 2 months, but to us, it's only been a short time. What do you mean? Old Man Bao, Dean Xiao, and Commander Gao all looked doubtful, unsure of what Mu Hongyun meant. The Black Storm happened 2 months ago, right? Lingling asked. That's right, that Black Storm raged for 5 days and 5 nights, Commander Gao replied. But in our memory, the Black Storm happened yesterday, Lingling said, making a startling statement. The three men frowned even more. They couldn't understand what she meant by that one sentence alone. So Mu Hongyun and Lingling recounted what had happened in the Black Storm. After listening to them, Dean Xiao was the first to ask in shock, You mean inside the Black Storm? You discovered an ancient city that resembled the Yin ruined civilization, and you only went in for a short time, and when you came out, 2 months had passed. The three men nodded heavily. That's not right. Old Man Bao shook his head calmly and said, You just said that Dakui was also from our hunting station, but there has never been a hunter named Dakui in the hunting station. Boom. Mu Hongyun and Lingling felt a chill run down their spines, if old man Bao wasn't joking. Mu Hongyun finally realized something was wrong. Logically, Da Kui was also a member of the hunting party, but Commander Fan had only ordered the soldiers to search for 3 people, and for so long, old man Bao hadn't asked a single question about Da Kui's whereabouts. September 2nd installment. Kind readers, please give me your monthly tickets. Chapter 85, The Forgotten Ones of the World. How could this be? Xiaoding's first reaction was disbelief. He excitedly said, Brother Da Kui has been at the hunting lodge for 3 years, often teaming up with me and Lingling. Master, have you forgotten? Yes, Grandpa, didn't you introduce Brother Da Kui and Sister Ran? Lingling said excitedly as well. Ranran? What does this have to do with Ranran? Old Bao said, somewhat bewildered. Lin Ran was his friend's daughter. Sister Ran is Brother Da Kui's wife, and she's already pregnant with Brother Da Kui's child. Lingling was almost crying. Old Bao frowned, but finally shook his head and said, I still don't remember. Xiaoding, Lingling. Xiaoding wanted to say something, but was suddenly stopped by Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun shook his head and said, let's leave this at that, Brother Mu. Xiaoding looked at Mu Hongyun with some grievance. Only they knew that Da Kui was real. Let's leave it at that for now. Could you please ask which of the hunters who traveled with us survived? Mu Hongyun said. Lingling and Xiaoding's eyes lit up instantly, secretly praising Mu Hongyun. The hunters who had followed them into the grasslands would surely remember Da Kui. There was no reason why the 3 of them would remember while the others wouldn't. I'll send the list over later. Why don't the 3 of you rest for a bit? Fan Dongyun asked the 3 of them with some concern. There were quite a few people who had been driven insane by fear deep in the grasslands, and in his opinion, these 3 were showing signs of mental instability. It was that same dark-skinned man. No, it was Ai Jiang Tu. Ai Jiang Tu arranged for Mu Hongyun, Xiaoding, and Lingling to stay in an empty dormitory room, as there were few female soldiers at the Xianlang Pass fortress and no extra female soldiers' dormitories. Brother Mu, Lingling, look at the way Commander Fan looked at us. He clearly thought we were crazy. After closing the door, Xiaoding said indignantly. After all, this whole thing is too surreal. More than 2 months have passed in the blink of an eye. Mu Hongyun's voice was calm but trembled slightly. The whole thing was full of eeriness, and even he didn't want to recall it too much. After spending 2 days at the Xianlang Pass fortress, the group first rushed back to Hohhot, and then flew directly back to Shanghai. Upon returning to Shanghai, Lingling immediately went to the archives to look for Da Kui's information, but after searching the entire room, she couldn't find it. How could this be? I personally placed Da Kui's file there, how could I not find it? Lingling looked bewildered, sitting dejectedly behind the bar. Lingling, why don't you search for Da Kui's hunter information online? Mu Hongyun suggested. Lingling's eyes were vacant, her voice clear as she said, I already checked when I was at Xianlang Pass, but I couldn't find Da Kui. Da Kui, forgotten by the world. Lingling's voice trembled, and tears streamed down her face. Xiaoding also regretted it deeply. If only he had called Da Kui back with him, Da Kui would never have been taken away by Yunfang and Chenin, and everyone could have returned safely. And the culprit behind all this was that strange city. Lingling, if Da Kui was forgotten by the world because you stayed in that city, then have Silver Fox, Yunfeng, and Chenin also been forgotten? Mu Hongyun asked, a glint of light in his eyes. You want me to check if the Snow Peak hunting group still exists? Lingling looked up and asked. Yes, check. Mu Hongyun nodded heavily. Lingling picked up the small computer, her tears still wet on her face, and began searching for information about the Kilu Snow Peak hunting group. Unexpectedly, she found information about the Snow Peak hunting group. Hey, it really exists. Lingling smiled through her tears with joy. And the leader of the hunting group is indeed Silver Fox. This was another piece of good news. Clearly, Silver Fox and Da Kui stayed in the ancient city together, and Mu Hongyun even looked back at him when he left. So why did the world forget Da Kui but not Silver Fox? See? I told you there's always a way out. Since the world didn't forget Silver Fox, how could it forget Da Kui alone? Mu Hongyun said ring ring ring. The wind chimes behind the door suddenly rang, and Qi Daojin, dressed in an elegant Shongshan suit, walked in. I sensed Qi Tian's aura, so I returned, Mr. Qi said with a slight smile. Mr. Qi, Lingling's eyes lit up instantly upon seeing Qi Daojin. Given Qi Daojin's long lifespan, he should know about this situation. What is it, Lingling? Qi was very fond of Lingling. There weren't many humans as spirited, intelligent, studious, and eloquent as her. I have something I'd like to ask you, Lingling told Qi about Dakui being forgotten by the world. After listening, Qi narrowed his handsome phoenix eyes and said lazily, the Yin ruined civilization disappeared before I was even born, so I know nothing about it. Upon hearing this, the light in Lingling's eyes dimmed instantly. However, I do know a little about the world's forgetting issue you mentioned, but before I tell you, there's something you need to verify. Qi tone took a sudden turn, and he smiled mysteriously. What's going on? Xiaoding asked curiously. So, you need to confirm whether the silver fox we know now is the same person as the silver fox you know, Qi said, then pushed open the door to the backyard and left with his hands behind his back. What do you mean? Xiaoding was still confused. Silver fox isn't a name, it's a code name. The silver fox we know might not be the same person, Lingling correctly interpreted Mr. Qi's words. Then let's find out where the Snow Peak hunting group operates in Qilu, and we'll go there ourselves, Mu Hongyun said. With a goal in mind, Lingling immediately became energetic again, transforming back into her usual cheerful self. Mu Hongyun returned to his room, took out the golden liquid from the bronze cauldron, and upon contact with it, the dragon tiger profound intent within his body roared impatiently. Mu Hongyun swallowed it in one gulp, like drinking lava. The scalding liquid flowed down his throat and into his body, surging into every limb and bone. The profound meaning of the dragon and tiger began to grow wildly within his body, automatically cultivating the dragon and tiger true scripture. In an instant, his body refinement progress bar was pushed to the mid-stage of dragon marrow and tiger bone, his physical strength doubling once again. What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. Inside the room, Mu Hongyun suddenly assumed a fist stance, his martial intent surging like a fire dragon, his aura vibrant. His martial arts were somewhere between the third and fourth realms. The first three realms of martial arts were body refinement. Mu Hongyun originally intended to create the strongest three realms, but the mountain carrying divine power continuously enhanced his physique, so his first three realms were not the strongest, because only stronger ones remained. The fourth realm of martial arts, the hero realm. This marked the shift from body refinement to ki cultivation, and ki cultivation cultivates a heroic spirit. What is a hero? Though there be thousands, I will go, to worry about the world's troubles before the world rejoices, to feed the tiger with one's own body, to endure humiliation and bear heavy burdens, to achieve success without seeking recognition. 30 years of fame and glory are but dust and dirt, 8,000 miles of road are but clouds and moon. Breakthrough. The fourth realm of martial arts has been achieved. Please cast your votes. Chapter 86 The Art of Staff Dismantling, China World Auction House. Unfortunately, Lingling discovered that the Snow Peak hunting group had just accepted a mission and gone beyond the borders, possibly not returning for a month or so. There was no other way but to wait for their return before heading to Qilu. At Xianlang Pass, Ai Jiangtu had given them a list of hunters who had survived the grasslands. The Golden Sands hunting group and the 9 other hunting group were completely wiped out. Red Sparrow had witnessed it firsthand. Dorj, after all, was a hunting king. It was said that both hunting groups were destroyed by a single claw from the Cloudbone Dragon. Then, Ghost Eye Hunting King, 7th Master, Red Sparrow, Black Dog, and Yan survived. The rest either fell to the Cloudbone Dragon or died in the Black Storm. Only 5 people escaped. Mu Hongyun walked to the front hall, where only Lingling sat behind the bar, her eyes vacant, lost in thought. Lingling wasn't usually a sentimental young woman, and after several days, she had long since lost her sadness. Why are you alone? Where's Xiaoding? Mu Hongyun asked, ruffling the girl's hair. Slap, Lingling slapped Mu Hongyun's hand away, raising her voice, don't touch my hair, it's filthy. My sister borrowed senior brother Xiaoding, your sister. When did your sister come back? Mu Hongyun asked in surprise. Lingling's sister, Lang Qing, was already the vice-chairman of the Lingayan tribunal at a young age. Mu Hongyun had met her. She was a gentle and virtuous older sister. She didn't come back. She called and took Xiaoding away, Lingling said, swinging her short legs. By the way, I dissected the great steel sparrow's corpse. It's a winged alien bone, the main material for making winged magical tools. Should I send it to auction or put it on the market? Mu Hongyun suddenly remembered that the great steel sparrow's corpse was still in his hands. Of course, send it to the auction. Are you stupid? Winged alien bones are in high demand and short supply on the market, let alone commander-level alien bones. If you want to sell it, I'll contact the auction house for you. How about a 90/10 split? Lingling looked at Mu Hongyun with wide eyes, full of hope. How? What a coward. You don't even dare to dream of an 80/20 split. Mu Hongyun chuckled, then handed the special pouch containing the large steel sparrow bone to Lingling. Lingling took it to an appraiser for authentication. If it were an auction, the auction house would charge an extra 1% appraisal fee. After Lingling left, it was Mu Hongyun's turn to watch the house. Mu Hongyun closed his eyes and began to comprehend the staff dissolution, divine power in the Ruyi Book, like the talisman water, and stone boiling, divine powers. Staff dissolution was also a knowledge-based divine power, requiring no spiritual object for cultivation, only serious comprehension. The staff dissolution, divine power could be used to refine magical treasures at the following levels: spiritual weapon, Deo weapon, spiritual treasure, and supreme treasure. Currently, a spiritual weapon was enough for Mu Hongyun to use until he reached the golden core stage, and with his magical power, he could only refine spiritual weapons. As he comprehended the staff dissolution, divine power, time passed unnoticed, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lingling returned in a flurry. Uncle Mu. As soon as she returned, Lingling clung to Mu Hongyun in a sickeningly sweet manner. What? Now you know how valuable your Uncle Mu is. Mu Hongyun opened his eyes, glanced at her, and said, Do you know how much the strange bone dropped by the great steel sparrow is worth? Lingling's face flushed with excitement, her eyes watery like a clear spring. How much? It should be over 100 million, right? Mu Hongyun guessed, otherwise Lingling wouldn't be so excited. It's appraised at a market value of 500 million. If it were to be auctioned, the starting bid would be 400 million. Normally, auction houses would charge a 5% commission, but I have a connections and can only charge 3%, Lingling said proudly. Alright, Comrade Lingling, I'm entrusting the strange bone matter entirely to you. Just call me when the auction is about to start. Time passed quickly, and half a month flew by. During this time, Mu Hongyun had been studying the staff dissolution, supernatural power, and was only one step away from mastering it. There's an auction house on the top floor of the China World Trade Center. Besides paid members, only those with certain status can enter, such as master hunters, judges, and so on. Some families and powerful factions also qualify. This auction is held only once a month, and each time they find rare and priceless treasures. The winged bone that Mu Hongyun is auctioning this time is the third to last item. Lingling has a master hunter's certificate, while Mu Hongyun has a VIP card jointly issued by Wu Yong and Du Zio, which allows him to spend anywhere in the country and has a monthly limit of 5 million. Mu Hongyun casually tied up his long hair, then, dressed in a wide-sleeved white robe, followed behind Lingling towards the China World Trade Center. Along the way, his ethereal and handsome face attracted the attention of many young women and women. Just as Mu Hongyun was about to enter the Guamao building, a girl, blushing, quickly walked up to him and said, Hello, can I add you on WeChat? Her voice was barely audible, and although Mu Hongyun couldn't see her face clearly, her magnanimity already surpassed that of 90% of girls nationwide. The girl was so beautiful that her toes were barely visible. No, Lingling barked at the girl like an angry little lion, then grabbed Mu Hongyun's sleeve and pulled him into the elevator. Mu Hongyun sighed and gave the girl an apologetic smile, saying, Sorry, my little one doesn't want to. Lingling seemed to want Mu Hongyun to avoid further contact with the girl, and quickened her pace. The girl was startled by Lingling's shout, but upon seeing Mu Hongyun smile, she instantly fell into a daze again. Little bunny, are you alright? Everyone else has left and you're still standing there, the girl's companion teased her after Mu Hongyun and Lingling entered the elevator. Jio, you have no idea how handsome he is. He's so charming, the girl called Little Rabbit exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with hearts. Ugh, you're hopeless. At the top floor of the China World Trade Center, in the auction hall, Lingling walked ahead coolly, hands in her pockets, while Mu Hongyun lazily lagged behind. Hey, why didn't you accept my WeChat friend request? Mu Hongyun asked with a smile. Romantic entanglements are nothing compared to demon hunting. As your long-term partner, I need to remind you not to get caught up in these useless feelings, Lingling said earnestly, with a I'm doing this for your own good expression. Outside the auction hall stood several blonde, blue-eyed foreign women, their form-fitting embroidered cheongsams perfectly outlining their figures. Their snow-white thighs were tinged with a faint pink, and silver leg rings adorned their calves. "Hello, please show your pass." The blonde woman was instantly awestruck upon seeing Mu Hongyun, her eyes flashing with an unusual light. Lingling pulled out her pass from her pocket and handed it to the blonde woman. After they passed through, the woman checking their pass immediately said to her companion in English, "My God, that man is so handsome. More dashing than any legendary elf." After passing through the passage, Mu Hongyun heard the woman's voice outside and asked, "Lingling, were those blonde ladies outside saying I'm handsome?" "No, they were saying that little girl is so cute," Lingling said coldly. "How?" Mu Hongyun chuckled lightly. "Lingling, your skin is getting thicker and thicker." Chapter 87. How many heads do you have that I can kill? A bright red carpet stretched to the end of the path, and the moment Mu Hongyun stepped into the auction hall, countless gazes were instantly drawn to him. Upon seeing Mu Hongyun's face, expressions of surprise, astonishment, disdain, sneer, and calmness appeared throughout the auction hall. HMPH, Mu Hongyun snorted softly, his divine sense spreading outwards, causing countless souls to feel as if they had been pricked by needles, emitting cries of agony. He was giving them a warning. Not everyone liked being scrutinized like this. The blonde woman standing in the hall bowed slightly to the two, and according to their passes, led them to the middle row. The first few rows were filled with people from aristocratic families and major magical forces. With half an hour until the auction began, Mu Hongyun closed his eyes to rest, ignoring everything around him. "Hey, isn't that the handsome young man from before? He's here for the auction too. That's great, little rabbit. Can't you be a little more reserved?" The familiar voice rang in Mu Hongyun's ears again. Mu Hongyun opened his eyes and saw the girl who had struck up a conversation with him downstairs. She was now standing with her companion, perfectly embodying the summer lotus and autumn water pairing. The petite, voluptuous girl, with her stunning figure, was like a blooming summer lotus in the sunlight. Her posture, speech, and temperament were brimming with vitality. She must have lived in a very loving family. The other girl, named Autumn Water, was slightly different. She was as serene as a quiet orchid, with an elegant temperament and a leisurely demeanor. Judging from her appearance, although she came from a wealthy family, she faced considerable pressure. The Summer Lotus girl linked arms with the Autumn Water girl and came to Mu Hongyun's side, saying, "Handsome, can we sit next to you?" Before Mu Hongyun could speak, he saw Lingling's dangerous gaze fall upon him. "His beauty, you'll have to ask my little one about that." Mu Hongyun moved aside, revealing the petite Lingling. Upon seeing Lingling, the energetic girl remembered that it was this little girl who had interfered downstairs, preventing her from adding the handsome guy as a friend. "Here, little sister, let me treat you to some candy, okay?" the energetic girl said, pulling out several pieces of candy from her pocket. The packaging looked incredibly high-end. However, she saw "Are you an idiot?" look in Lingling's eyes. The energetic girl was immediately embarrassed. This little girl was just like her when she was a child. She doesn't like candy, but she loves milk tea. "Don't mind her, my little girl means no harm. Her name is Lingling, and mine is Mu Hongyun." Mu Hongyun hadn't intended to pay attention to the two, but the Hongyun Qinling sent a signal to the two girls wanting to connect. So, Mu Hongyun secretly used his eye of luck to observe and discovered that the woman described as Autumn Water had a large amount of luck surrounding her head. Although it wasn't as much as Mofang Xingqi's, it was similar to Lingling's. The young girl Xiaoyan's aura was even more astonishing. Besides a considerable area of destiny-bound fortune, it was also entwined with wisps of national fortune in the form of a golden dragon. "My name is Ai Tutu, and this is my good friend, Mu Nujio." Ai Tutu quickly introduced herself, then grinned foolishly at Mu Hongyun. "Ai Tutu, Mu Nujio, no wonder, Mu Nujio. One of the two pillars of the Mu family, a powerful family in Shanghai, and also Mo Fan's good friend in the original story, involved in many important events. Ai Tutu, the only precious daughter of the national-level military family Ai family, no wonder her fortune was intertwined with national fortune. With a country as her backing, calling her Princess Tutu wouldn't be an exaggeration. Ai Tutu was so engrossed in chatting with her crush that she didn't notice Mu Nujio's expression change the moment she heard Mu Hongyun's name. Although the events in the capital before the new year were covered up, the Mu family still managed to obtain some information. It was said that a living emperor had taken action against the Mu family. Logically speaking, Mages of their level shouldn't be qualified to know the word emperor. However, Mu Nujiao overheard the word emperor that night. Although she didn't know what emperor represented, she knew it must be an existence even more terrifying than a monarch. The young man who brought the emperor was named Mu Hongyun. But could this young man and the emperor's envoy be the same person? Mu Nujiao glanced at Mu Hongyun's profile, a face that possessed both holiness and an eeriness, and shook her head self-deprecatingly. How could that be? He was so young. At this moment, a group of people with profound auras walked in from outside. The leader was an older man. His sharp eyes swept around, then his gaze fell on Mu Hongyun. However, this wasn't a good place to make a move. He said in a low voice, "Target spotted. We'll talk after the auction." Yes, the group of young people behind him responded one after another. One of the effeminate young men glanced at Mu Hongyun without leaving a trace. Just as their eyes met, the young man mouthed two sentences, "Bastard." Mu Hongyun laughed, a laugh filled with endless chill and killing intent. "Dare to provoke me like this? I could kill you several heads." The auction began, and Mu Hongyun initially came to see if there were any eye-catching materials. However, perhaps due to bad luck, none of the auction items appealed to him. The only good news was that the commander-level alien bone he had entrusted to auction sold for 700 million. This was the only thing that made Mu Hongyun and Lingling smile. When the auction ended, everyone got up to leave, but Mu Hongyun remained sitting there leisurely. "Are you planning to spend the new year here?" Lingling shook Mu Hongyun's arm and asked. "No rush, I still have things to finish," Mu Hongyun said calmly. AI Tutu and Mu Nujiao had originally intended to leave, but seeing their idol still sitting there, she sat back down and said, "My idol, how about we have lunch together today?" "Sure, but I need to take care of some things first." AI Tutu was surprised that her idol agreed on their first invitation and immediately beamed with delight. No problem, I'll book a restaurant right now." Mu Nujiao sighed deeply, looking at AI Tutu's nonchalant attitude. After most of the people had left, a group of middle-aged men slowly walked towards Mu Hongyun. "Are you Mu Hongyun?" the middle-aged man said coldly. "I am." "And whose dogs are you?" Mu Hongyun said calmly. "Insolence. Who do you think you are, daring to speak to the judge like that?" Before the middle-aged man could speak, the man in black behind him spoke first. "We're from the Imperial Capital Tribunal. We need to handle a murder case. Come with us." The older man who spoke blinked in disgust, his tone arrogant, as if informing Mu Hongyun. "Murder case? What murder case? Is your mother dead or your father dead?" Mu Hongyun shook his head in confusion, then gave the older man a wicked smile. "Insolence. What kind of attitude is that? Do you even respect the Imperial Capital Tribunal?" the man in black earlier roared angrily. "A piece of trash brought back from outside, learned a couple of strange arts, and thinks he's reached the heavens in one step." Before the auction, the effeminate man who had glanced at Mu Hongyun gritted his teeth, stepped forward, and stared calmly into Mu Hongyun's eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, the effeminate man revealed his true intentions. The demon slaying artifact on his armor activated, and he thrust it towards Mu Hongyun's chest. Third shot of September, comrades, vote. Chapter 88, it should be a celestial being drunk and carefree, mistakenly crushing the white clouds. In the ancestral hall of Mount Mu Pang in the capital, only two old foxes, Mu Filun and Mu Dao, remained. Their eyes concealed cunning, and their faces were filled with wicked smiles. "Elder Mu Dao, you truly deserve to be called the Mu family's top strategist. This tactic of using someone else to kill you, even if it doesn't eliminate Mu Hongyun, will at least bring us the Guan family as an ally," Mu Filun said with a smile as she poured Mu Dao a cup of hot tea. "Ha, Guan Shanhei has been dead for so long, and the Guan family hasn't dared to announce it. Isn't it because they're afraid Guan Shanhei's son, Guan Kai, will seek revenge on Mu Hongyun? And Guan Kai happens to be the judge of the Imperial Court. Assassinating the judge is a serious crime. This is a perfectly legitimate scheme." Mu Dao raised his head, a calm and collected smile on his face. "Whether Mu Hongyun or Guan Kai dies, it won't harm the Mu family. Mu Hongyun's death would remove a major enemy, Guan Kai's death would bring the Mu family an ally to deal with Mu Hongyun." On the top floor of the Shanghai International Trade Center, the appearance of the demon-slaying weapon immediately shocked everyone. Even the uncle like Guan Kai was dumbfounded. He wasn't stupid. When Mu Dao told him that Mu Hongyun had killed his father, he sensed something was amiss. His team's trip from the capital to find Mu Hongyun was merely a pretext. But why wasn't this kid playing by the rules? Drawing his sword right away, clang, a crisp sound rang out, stunning Guankai, the man in black, AI Tutu, Mu Hongyun, and even the effeminate man who activated a demon-slaying weapon. It wasn't that they were ignorant, Mu Hongyun's move was simply too astonishing. Mu Hongyun simply extended one hand, blocking the oncoming demon-slaying weapon. If you catch a blade with one hand, I can only call it a good job, but you catch a light blade with one hand, I call it a masterpiece. Mu Nujio and AI Tutu both widened their eyes. Big brother, look closely, that's a lightsaber. What is this? A toy. Mu Hongyun narrowed his eyes, crushed the lightsaber in an instant, picked up a fragment, and swiftly slashed the effeminate man's neck splat. It was the sensation of a sharp weapon slicing through flesh, scalding blood gushed out, but none of it landed on Mu Hongyun. The effeminate man's eyes widened, one hand clutching his neck, trying to say something, but before he could speak, he collapsed to the ground. Attack! The man in black reacted, roaring first, his hands spreading out in a magical arc wide, pure white sleeves, like white cranes spreading their wings, like celestial beings crushing white clouds, unleashed a powerful attack from within, instantly shattering the man in black's internal organs into pieces. Did anyone tell you that the worst thing you can do to kill me is get close to me? Mu Hongyun said with a ferocious grin. Mu Hongyun's eyes sharpened, his arms flashing like white birds, Guanqi and the people behind him turning into piles of minced meat like fireworks. Just as Mu Hongyun was about to attack Guankai's astonishing action instantly shocked everyone. With lightning speed, Guankai prostrated himself on the ground, begging for mercy. Mu Hongyun and AI Tutu glanced at him disdainfully. They had previously thought him a tough guy, but after all his subordinates were dead, he surrendered. Mu Hongyun smiled faintly. Don't you think it's too late for you to surrender now, my lord? I didn't mean to interfere with you, I was forced into this situation, Guankai said tearfully. Oh? Then tell me, how were you forced into this situation? Mu Hongyun mercifully gave Guankai a chance to explain. My lord, the Mu family's vice judge Mu Dao keeps mentioning, intentionally or unintentionally, that Elder Guan Shanhe died at your hands. I happened to overhear this, which is too much of a coincidence, so I told our clan leader. The clan leader told me that the Mu family is using this as a double-edged sword, killing two birds with one stone. Because Guan Shanhe is my father, they've concluded I'll use the Imperial Capital Tribunal's name to seek revenge on you. And that's exactly what the Mu family is using. Guankai knelt on the ground, licking his lips, his eyes bitter. If you can kill me, you'll naturally eliminate a major enemy for the Mu family. Even if you can't kill me, you'll push the Guan family to the opposite side, naturally becoming allies with the Mu family. Along with the Imperial Capital Tribunal's hostility, you've turned the tables on them. Mu Hongyun's mind raced, filling in the rest of the story. Hearing the Mu family's dirty tricks, Mu Nujio and Lingling remained calm. Only AI Tutu, having experienced both the bloodshed of murder and the filth of the scheme, was momentarily at a loss for words. It seems you really had no choice. Quite a few people died today, so I'll spare your life. By the way, can you handle the cause of death for these people? Mu Hongyun asked with a smile. Sure, Guankai was both frightened and relieved. Let's go, ladies. I'll treat you to dinner to calm your nerves. Mu Hongyun teased AI Tutu and Mu Nujio. Mu Nujio glanced heavily at AI Tutu's pale face. AI Tutu had just witnessed a human explosion. Could she still eat? Okay, but I'm on a diet lately, so I can only eat light food. AI Tutu forced a smile. After the four entered the elevator, Lingling finally spoke up. Although that person said it, he might still have murderous intent towards you. After all, he's his father's killer. Of course I know, but he still has some influence. As a smart person, he knows what to do, Mu Hongyun said without any concern. AI Tutu whispered in Mu Nujio's ear, Jio, my crush is so handsome and strong. Do you think you like me? Have you become so timid that you can't even dream? Mu Nujio said dismissively to AI Tutu. Ugh. Jio, I'm not dreaming, I'm serious. AI Tutu puffed out her cute little face and stomped her foot. On the 5th floor of the Guameo building, there was a family-run private restaurant. The chef had once worked at Tifang Restaurant, one of the 8 most famous restaurants in modern Beijing. The elevator arrived on the 5th floor, and the handsome man, beautiful woman, and cute girl combination instantly attracted countless eyes. Wow, this guy is awesome. An elegant mature woman, an energetic girl, and a pure little lolly. Ahem, brother, don't have such dirty thoughts. A little lolly is really unnecessary, passers-by whispered among themselves, but none of it escaped Mu Hongyun's ears. Mu Hongyun simply smiled and let it go. Jiang's private restaurant. The four of them occupied a table in the corner. Mu Hongyun tossed the menu aside and said, "Bring this whole thing." Ai Tuta waved her hands repeatedly, saying, "No, no, no, we can't eat that much." Mu Nujiao also said, "It is indeed too much." Lingling said in a mature tone, "Eat without worry, don't try to save him money. He just made a windfall." "What windfall?" Ai Tuta craned her neck and asked curiously. After their brief interaction, she already knew Lingling's true identity and no longer treated her as an ordinary little girl. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Supernatural Powers in Cheng Menglan's Return Trip. Did you see the third to last winged alien bone at the auction? He provided it. Lingling gestured towards Mu Hongyun. Wow, 700 million. That's so many years worth of pocket money, Ai Tutu exclaimed in surprise. The two of them had personally witnessed that winged alien bone fetch a high price of 700 million, acquired by a blacksmith master from the Magic Association. Not that much, only 665 million, and we still have to pay the auction house's fees, Mu Hongyun replied with a smile. Hey, don't forget about my 70 million. You're not going to renege on your debt, are you? Lingling said coolly. The meal was quickly eaten, and after Ai Tutu and Mu Hongyun exchanged contact information, they reluctantly parted ways. In the following days, Mu Hongyun continued to comprehend the stuff unraveling divine power, but before he could successfully comprehend it, the talisman water divine power was upgraded. It can only be said that all paths lead to the same destination. The talisman water divine power advanced to the Azure Talisman realm, unlocking a host of talismans. 20 days later, Meng Lan suddenly teleported from his native world to Mu Hongyun's side. When he returned, Mu Hongyun had just successfully mastered the staff release divine power. My lord, do you know what loneliness is? The returned Meng Lan seemed preoccupied, asking Mu Hongyun with a somewhat weary expression. Loneliness, Mu Hongyun was taken aback. He pondered carefully, realizing he didn't seem to have a particular understanding of loneliness. He was someone who could find joy even in hardship, and didn't know what loneliness was. I'm sorry, Meng Lan, I can't answer that question. How did you come up with it? Mu Hongyun asked curiously. During my time back in my native world, I always felt that I was no different from Qingda, Qingzio, Mengyu, and Mengbao. But until recently, I met a cat with the same abilities as me, Meng Lan said in a low voice. The same abilities. It can also travel between worlds. Mu Hongyun quickly grasped the key point in Meng Lan's words. Yes, he can also travel freely between worlds, but he seems to be all alone, unlike the contracts between you and me. Meng Lan nodded, and a verted bamboo stalk automatically appeared in his hand. What did it say to you? At first, it was very surprised to see me, saying it never expected to meet a fellow being in the endless void. But after discovering the contract between you and me, its tone turned hostile, saying I should break the contract with you as soon as possible, otherwise it would surely die in endless loneliness. As Meng Lan spoke, the bamboo in its mouth suddenly lost its flavor. It had been troubled by this problem recently and had lost several pounds. Meng Lan, how could you be so foolish? You believe everything people say. These days everyone says life is short, but I haven't seen anyone commit suicide. Mu Hongyun reached out and ruffled Meng Lan's ear, gently saying, in this world, you have me, Kishin, Aoshuang, Dailing, and other good friends. In your home world, you have your Panda brothers, and in another world, you have your sworn brothers. How could you possibly be lonely? Eat what you want, drink what you want, don't take things to heart. Mu Hongyun sat beside Meng Lan, comforting it. After Mu Hongyun finished speaking, Meng Lan had finished showing off a bamboo stick. It nodded and said, little one. I believe you. My travel time is over. I'm going to play now. Meng Lan cleaned the bamboo shavings off its body, then clapped its hands, and a black hole appeared under its rear end. Instantly, Meng Lan disappeared, as if it had never existed. Hangzhou, a famous food desert in the eastern coastal region. On the brightly lit streets, beautiful women were a common sight. Xiaoding, dressed in migrant workers' clothes, and a seemingly honest-looking men were squatting on the curb eating boxed lunches. Big brother, didn't you say you'd treat me to a big meal? Is this what you called a big meal? Xiaoding complained loudly to the honest-looking man amidst the bustling pedestrian street. Brother, this is pretty good in Hangzhou. If you don't want to eat it, I'll buy you 2 steamed buns to eat with cold water, the honest-looking man replied, playing along with Xiaoding's act. Of course, the two weren't really eating boxed lunches. In reality, Xiaoding was cooperating with the Lingai tribunal to track a man named Chunan. The tribunal was generally located in first or second-tier cities, then its jurisdiction extended to surrounding cities. Bo City happened to be a city under the jurisdiction of the Lingai tribunal, and given the major events that had occurred there, the tribunal naturally needed to give the public an explanation. Starting with the Mu family of Bo City, they had indeed uncovered a hidden thread, Chunan, the owner of the Heaven on Earth nightclub. After everyone had passed by, Xiaoding cautiously said, Brother Meng, it's been 3 days, and there's still no suspicious person. Let's wait until Jiajia comes back. Soon, Xiaoding spotted a stunningly beautiful heiress coming out. He quickly patted Brother Meng on the shoulder, and the two hurriedly finished their boxed lunches before sauntering away. After they left, 2 more people immediately took their places. Next door at the Sichuan Hot Pot restaurant, Xiaoding and Brother Meng quickly changed clothes, wiped their makeup, and entered a private room. Inside sat a woman whose alluring charm couldn't be concealed even in her casual blue wool sweater. Her phoenix eyes exuded captivating beauty. Even her loose clothing couldn't hide her ample bosom. If Mu Hongyun were here, he would definitely recognize her as Tang Yu, whom he had met in Bo City. After a while, a stylishly dressed young woman carrying a backpack entered the room. Once inside, all 3 breathed a sigh of relief. No tale followed. Right, Tang Yu asked. Don't worry, Sister Tang Yu, I deliberately circled around a few times and even removed my makeup. I'll look completely different when I came out, the girl said confidently. Yes, Sister Tang Yu, I believe Jiajia. If I weren't one of them, I wouldn't believe that the rich heiress was Jiajia. Xiaoding raised his hand and said. Then tell me, did I look better before or now? Jiajia proudly raised her head, looking at Xiaoding like a dazzling swan. Excuse my bluntness, Jiajia, you'd better have some self-awareness. Xiaoding said this recklessly and quickly hid behind Meng Jie. You're going to die, Chen Xiaoding. If you've got the guts, come out from behind Meng Jie. I promise I won't kill you. Jiajia's eyes widened, and she pointed at Xiaoding angrily. No, Jiajia, think about it. Good medicine tastes bitter, but honest advice is hard to swallow. Before Xiaoding could finish speaking, Jiajia's hair stood on end like a witch's. You dare say honest advice is hard to swallow? So it seems you were right when you said I'm ugly. Young man, you're really brave. Brother Meng was instantly shocked. Xiaoding, let me go. Jiajia hit you, what does it have to do with me? Hey Brother Meng, we're such good friends, and you just stand by and watch me die. Jiajia lunged at Xiaoding, baring her teeth and claws, and Xiaoding quickly released Brother Meng. The 2 of them started circling the table. I might go home to visit my parents tomorrow, so updates will be late. Chapter 90, Wall and Lingling arrives in Hangzhou to assist. Feng Chu's good fortune triumphs over Tang Yu. Mu Hongyun. There's something urgent. One morning, Lingling's loud shout rang out. Mu Hongyun, who was standing in a fist stance, slowly said, I know you're in a hurry, but don't rush. Are you even speaking human language? Lingling's delicate face instantly furrowed. As the purple aura of the heavens rolled in from the east, the old and new within Mu Hongyun's body exchanged, generating a white aura shaped like a dragon that resonated with the purple aura. The purple aura entered his body, and the white aura left. Exhaling deeply, Mu Hongyun used water magic to bathe himself. Driven by his spiritual power, the newly crafted magic robe automatically flew onto his body. This magic robe was the first magic weapon Mu Hongyun had crafted, simply called the pure white magic robe. It didn't have many abilities, only a few minor ones like dust repellency, protection, and early warning. What's the matter that's so urgent? Mu Hongyun asked softly. My sister called and asked me to help her sort out some documents. We're going to Hangzhou for a few days, a paid trip. Anyone? The little girl said proudly. A paid trip? Are you sure you're not after my little wallet? Mu Hongyun glanced at Lingling. Didn't he know her little scheme? Don't worry about the details, Lingling smiled knowingly. Okay, camera, pan. 1 second Shanghai, the next Hangzhou. Outside the high-speed rail station, a young man in a pure white robe, with flowing long hair and striking features, was holding the hand of a delicate, cute, and soft little girl, seemingly waiting for a car. Mu Hongyun adjusted his sunglasses and asked, Lingling, didn't your sister say she'd send someone to pick us up? Where is she? Don't worry. Suddenly, a powerful G-Class performed a stylish drift and stopped in front of them. The driver was a beautiful woman with long, wine-red hair, wearing large sunglasses. Even the loosest clothing couldn't hide her ample bosom. Mu Hongyun felt he'd seen her somewhere before. Are you the unofficial staff Judge Lang mentioned? Get in. The woman in burgundy rolled down the window, lightly tapped the steering wheel, and beckoned to the two. Mu Hongyun and Lingling exchanged a glance. This girl was quite dashing. Weren't women from Jiangnan supposed to be gentle and graceful? The two got into the car one after the other. Beautiful lady, you look very familiar. Haven't we met somewhere before? Mu Hongyun, sitting in the passenger seat, sized up the woman in burgundy. Your pickup line is too old-fashioned. Also, buckle up, the woman chuckled, but that chuckle gave away her identity. Ha, Mu Hongyun suddenly exclaimed, seemingly remembering who this woman was. Oh, isn't this Tang Yu, the infernal affairs of Bo City? Haven't seen you in days, you've gotten so sloppy, Mu Hongyun grinned mischievously. Even the mighty family avenger, young Master Hongyun, hasn't succeeded much. Tang Yu, seeing her disguise exposed, simply stopped pretending. Tang Yu's grandfather was the presiding judge of the Lingai Tribunal and knew some inside information about the Mu Pangshan incident in the capital before the new year. He was also shocked by the big things Mu Hongyun had done. Was this something a normal person could do? Taking an emperor and a supreme being straight to the capital. Tang Yu was a superb driver and quickly drove to the outskirts of the Westlake scenic area. Get out of the car, young lady, young Master Mu. Mu Hongyun rubbed his eyes sleepily. The car was so stable that he couldn't help but fall asleep in the car. Where is this? Mu Hongyun patted his face, jumped up and down, and yawned. Westlake, the secret base of our Black Vatican extermination team. Tang Yu got out of the car, stretched her joints. After driving for so long, her back was killing her. Her stunning figure was displayed before Mu Hongyun's eyes without reservation, with a curvaceous figure and two long legs that looked like deadly scimitars. Auntie, want me to set your bones tonight? It's a family technique, Mu Hongyun said with a wicked grin, staring at Tang Yu's ample figure. How? Tang Yu sneered, come with me. The three of them didn't take the tourist path, but instead took another route. Lingling asked, why is the Lingai Tribunal located inside the Westlake scenic area? This isn't the tribunal's territory, it's my family's territory, Tang Yu replied quietly, seemingly in a bad mood. Auntie Tang Yu, I didn't realize you were such a rich woman, Mu Hongyun teased, endure. Hearing the title Auntie, Tang Yu clenched her fists inwardly. Just wait, tonight I'll make you beg for mercy, or I'm not Tang. Tang Yu narrowed her eyes slightly, and a faint light flashed across the calm Westlake in the distance. After walking through a path in the mountains, several houses with signs of habitation appeared before them. Sister Tang Yu, you're back. A girl dressed in a pure and lovely style was brushing her teeth outside. Seeing Tang Yu, she greeted her sweetly. Yes, Jiajia, where are the others? Brother Meng and Xiaoding went with the chief judge to get the newly acquired intelligence. Seeing the handsome man and the little girl behind Tang Yu, she said in surprise, Sister Tang Yu, who are they? Because this place had temporarily become the base of the Black Vatican's extermination team, outsiders were strictly prohibited from entering. Even intelligence had to be retrieved by them, not delivered directly here. They're unofficial members of the team, from the same hunting lodge as Xiaoding. This little girl is the chief judge's sister. Don't let her young age fool you. She's actually the youngest hunter master in the country. Hunter master? Jiajia's eyes widened in shock upon hearing Lingling's identity. A hunter master was a position on par with a judge, and hunter masters were generally experienced high-level mages. Really? Jiajia pulled her toothbrush out of her mouth and exclaimed in amazement. TCH, Lingling walked past arrogantly, secretly pleased. And this handsome guy, he's not the hunter king, is he? Jiajia asked Mu Hongyun with the same expression as Ai Tutu, a little excited. He's not, he's just an extra. Tang Yu rolled her eyes at Mu Hongyun and said. Lingling, you live in the first building on the left. Mu Hongyun, you live in the first building on the right, Tang Yu said to the two of them. Greek letter Omega, HMPH, Mu Hongyun grinned and chuckled dryly. Two extremes, old auntie, you're up to something, old auntie, old auntie, old auntie. Tang Yu's beautiful eyes flashed with murderous intent, crimson flames ignited on her arms, and she gritted her teeth and said, if you dare call me old auntie again, believe me, I'll throw you into Westlake to feed the snakes. Back in her own god's territory, Tang Yu couldn't hold back any longer. In the territory of the Zhan snake, how could I let you bully me? Snake? Mentioning this word, Mu Hongyun suddenly remembered that Tang Yu was some kind of totem guardian, and that a supreme monarch-level totem serpent existed within the three pools mirroring the moon seal of Westlake. Oh dear, I was careless, I forgot about the serpent. No, Sister Tang Yu, I was just joking, Mu Hongyun chuckled, quickly apologizing. Sister, that's fine, at least it sounds better than old auntie. Tang Yu gritted her teeth, wishing she could punch him to death. This kid had absolutely no emotional intelligence. This is the 5th release of September. Kind folks, please vote and help me speed things up. Chapter 91. An undercover agent is hidden within the trial council. The Black Vatican exposes its true colors. Brother Mu, Lingling, the two had just finished settling into their room and were preparing to take a stroll around Westlake when Xiaoding returned from outside. Seeing them, he ran over and gave them a big hug. It's only been a few days, do you have to be so mushy? Mu Hongyun said with a wry smile. Brother Mu, I just missed you guys. By the way, have you eaten yet? I bought some Kaifeng cuisine, want to try some? Xiaoding's eyes sparkled, he felt he worked better with Mu Hongyun and Lingling. It wasn't that Tang Yu and the others were holding them back, but Lingling was just too good at carrying the show. Isn't it supposed to be the #1 food on Hangzhou's food list? I definitely have to try it. Mu Hongyun had long yearned for the legendary Kaifeng cuisine. Following behind, Leng Qing smiled slightly and said, hello, Uncle Mu. Hello, Judge Leng. Mu Hongyun extended his hand and shook hands with Leng Qing. This was their first meeting, and they both had a good impression of each other. Come on, everyone, come inside. I'll tell you about the new intelligence we've gathered, Leng Qing said, gesturing for everyone to enter. Upon entering the largest room in the center, Mu Hongyun realized it was a meeting hall. Black curtains blocked the view from the windows, preventing outsiders from seeing what was happening inside. The room was simply decorated, several portraits hung on the wide walls, and a black round table sat in the center of the bright floor, surrounded by 8 rattan chairs. Yellow light bathed the room, creating a warm ambience. Before I share the intelligence, let me introduce 2 new members to everyone, Leng Qing said, clapping her hands to signal silence as everyone arrived. She gave them a sharp, sweeping look and said, next, I'll introduce our 2 new members, Lingling, my sister, a 7-star hunter master from the Qingshan Hunters Agency. And Mu Hongyun. She hesitated, pausing before continuing. She knew quite a bit about Mu Hongyun, but most of it was confidential. You can call him Brother Mu. He has experience fighting against Grand Commanders, Great Monarchs, and Supreme Monarchs. Seeing this, Xiaoding picked up where Leng Qing left off. He was the most appropriate person to speak here. Firstly, he knew some of Mu Hongyun's battle records. Secondly, he wasn't a member of the Inquisition, so he didn't need to worry about his superior's speculations. A collective gasp rippled through the group, including Tang Yu and Leng Qing. Dealing with a Grand Commander was relatively normal, but dealing with a Great Monarch and a Supreme Monarch was a bit beyond their capabilities. Yes, that's right, Leng Qing nodded, giving Xiaoding an approving look. After introducing the 2, Leng Qing began introducing the other members to them. Tang Yu, position, Judge, currently a member of the Black Vatican extermination team. Tang Yu's beautiful eyes rippled like spring waves as she nodded to Mu Hongyun and Lingling, saying, hello, Chang Meng, position, Judge, also a member of the Black Vatican extermination team. Chang Meng, the honest man Xiaoding called Brother Meng, stood up and smiled at the 2, saying, hello, and lastly, Bai Jia, trainee judge, makeup artist and logistics officer for the Black Vatican extermination team. Hello, my name is Bai Jia, you can call me Jia. Nice to meet you, the pretty girl stood up and timidly said to the 2. Okay. Now that we've all met, let me give you some updates. We don't need to track Chunman anymore, it's been confirmed that he's a member of the Black Vatican. We'll prepare to arrest him today. Furthermore, other Black Vatican members will be arrested by other teams. We're only responsible for Chunan, Virgin? Hearing this ridiculous nickname, Mu Hongyun almost burst out laughing. Lingling, when do you think Chunan will escape? Leng Qing asked. When did you set the capture time? Lingling countered. Tomorrow, Leng Qing replied. Then the best time to capture him is now. Lingling clapped her hands and said, how can you be sure there aren't any Black Church spies in the Lingang Tribunal? That's why I say now is the best time, but the tribunal's judgment documents haven't been issued yet, Jiajia asked weakly. I'll go, I'm not one of your tribunal members. Mu Hongyun stood up with a wicked smile. What's Chunan's strength? High level, Chang Mang said. Tisk tisk tisk, just a high level mage? I'd like to test my skills a bit. Mu Hongyun seemed extremely dissatisfied with Chunan's high level strength. Leng Qing, Chang Mang, and Xiaoding were embarrassed, because the three of them were only high-level mages themselves. By the way, where is Chunan? Mu Hongyun stood up and fidgeted with his head, asking. Heaven on earth is his business, he spends most of his time in his office on the 4th floor. Jiajia quickly took out a photo and handed it to Mu Hongyun. The photo seemed to be from when Heaven on Earth first opened. Besides the man in the suit standing in the middle, there were long-legged, slender-waisted, and alluring women on both sides. Wow, not bad quality. Cough cough. I was referring to the decor of this place. Mu Hongyun accidentally blurted out his thoughts and quickly tried to cover it up. Leng Qing rolled her eyes, and Tang Yu gave him a disdainful look. Alright, then watch me. Mu Hongyun flicked his sleeve and walked outside. After a while, Mu Hongyun returned and said, can anyone drive me? Damn, his handsome guy image has completely vanished. Jiajia put a hand to her forehead, speechless. In the end, everyone except Lingling went out. Mu Hongyun went in to catch the thief, and the rest sealed off this sinful brothel. Brother Mu, get off here. Heaven on Earth is just over there. Xiaoding parked the car about 500 meters from Heaven on Earth and pointed in the direction. Alright, get ready for my good news. By the way, this chicken leg is pretty good. Buy me a few more when you get back. Mu Hongyun got out of the car with a crispy, golden brown chicken leg in his hand and said to Xiaoding. Okay, Xiaoding could only agree for now. Crack, crack, crack. Mu Hongyun slowly walked towards Heaven on Earth while gnawing on the chicken leg. Just as he arrived, he finished eating the chicken leg. Screech. Mu Hongyun casually threw the bone on the ground, then wiped the oil stains on his hands onto his pure white robe. Surprisingly, the oil stains disappeared instantly upon contact with the robe. Hey, just as Mu Hongyun was about to step inside, a security guard called out to him from behind, put your trash in the bin. You're such a grown man, how can you be so uncivilized? Sorry, Mu Hongyun quickly chuckled, picked up the bone from the ground, and threw it in the bin. After throwing away the bone, Mu Hongyun wiped his hands and looked around at the 5-story Heaven on Earth. Tap. 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 The receptionist was a heavily made-up woman. When she saw Mu Hongyun enter, a hint of amazement flashed in her eyes. If she could sleep with this handsome young man, she would be willing to do it even without paying. Excuse me, is your boss here today? Mu Hongyun walked up to the receptionist and directly invaded her with his divine sense. The receptionist was immediately bewitched. The boss is in room 410 on the 4th floor. He said not to disturb him today, no matter what. The heavily made-up woman said blankly, like a robot. She got the news and is preparing to run away. Mu Hongyun smiled slightly. Meanwhile, in a room on the 4th floor, a man in a suit with a worried expression suddenly felt panicked. Chapter 92 The Executioner, Pheromone, reports. Chunan sensed an impending crisis, and combined with the intelligence he had just received, he immediately deduced that the Inquisition had acted first. He opened the window, preparing to escape. Unexpectedly, a handsome yet strong hand landed on his shoulder. Boss Chu, in such a hurry to leave, where are you going? Mu Hongyun said with a smile. Just now, Mu Hongyun had released his divine sense and sensed Chunan's intention to leave through the window. He immediately used his invisibility and stone penetration abilities to reach the 4th floor. Stone penetration could penetrate metal and stone. The legendary ability to pass through walls, invisibility, was to avoid startling the guests on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Guest, you jest. I was just opening the window to get some fresh air. Chunan first smiled cheerfully, then his eyes suddenly turned fierce. and he activated a demon-slaying weapon, aiming it at Mu Hongyun's heart. Key, the demon-slaying tool, like a streak of dark light, shattered instantly upon contact with Mu Hongyun's body. Mu Hongyun, on the other hand, only suffered a tear in his pure white robe, not a single drop of blood was shed. Chunan's eyes widened in disbelief, as if witnessing something utterly shocking. "Boss Chu, why did you do this?" Mu Hongyun sighed softly, seemingly regretful. Crack, half of Chunan's head was instantly embedded in the wall. Mu Hongyun strolled leisurely to Chunan's side. "Call out your accomplices. Wasting my time is wasting your life. You should know the predecessor of the Judgment Council, right? Do I need to explain what the Imperial Prison is, so powerful?" Half conscious, half awake, Chunan had only one thought in his mind. He couldn't even see when Mu Hongyun attacked. This was with Mu Hongyun holding back over 90% of his power, otherwise, how could a weak human body survive the power of a cultivator? At this moment, Jiajia, who was squatting outside, kicked at a stone by the roadside and said boredly, "It's so quiet inside. Could it be that Chunan isn't at heaven on earth?" Impossible. Our informants are on patrol 24/7. Chunan went into heaven on earth early this morning and hasn't come out since, Chang Meng said, playing with a lighter in his hand. "Hey, they're out." Jiajia suddenly pointed to heaven on earth with surprise. Chang Meng immediately looked over, and Tang Yu and Lingling, who were guarding the other side, also saw Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun was seen dragging Chunan out of heaven on earth with one hand on Chunan's head, like a dead dog. His long sleeves fluttered like an immortal, and there wasn't a single drop of blood on his body. So relic lettered at Big Boss. Jiajia's eyes widened, and she was shocked for a long time before she managed to utter two words. "He didn't kill him, did he?" Lingling stepped forward and asked with concern. She was most afraid that Mu Hongyun would lose control of his strength and kill Chunan. "He's still alive, don't worry." Mu Hongyun tossed Chunan to the ground with a flick of his wrist. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and his white shirt was stained with blood, making him look utterly disheveled. "I interrogated him inside. Although he's a blue-robed level mage, he's not the main culprit in the Bo City incident. There might be some oversights. Anyway, interrogate him again." Mu Hongyun wore an expression of utter nonchalance. Fierce fist, heaven-shattering, a hoarse roar suddenly echoed through the bustling street. In mid-air, flames flashed. A fist of fire, as thick as a locomotive, descended from the sky, its crimson flames aimed directly at Chunan on the ground. The magic appearing in the street immediately startled the surrounding ordinary people. Many, fearing they would be affected, ran away. Of course, some, fearless, held up their phones to film the attack. This fierce fist appeared extremely quickly, far beyond the capabilities of an ordinary mid-level mage. It was at least a high-level mage's power. Before anyone in the trial could react, they could only activate their armor or shield magic tools to withstand the residual power of the magic. 9 transformations of Calamity. Calamity Wave. Mu Hongyun waved his hand, unleashing a pale golden, sky-covering water curtain that appeared above everyone's heads. His fierce fist descended, touching the water curtain like a cigarette but thrown into the sea. Although he didn't use the drinking water supernatural power often, Mu Hongyun hadn't neglected its development. The 9 transformations of Calamity was a water technique he had comprehended. Mu Hongyun quickly withdrew the water curtain, looking up at the sky. On a towering building, a man completely shrouded in black robes coldly stared at the group below. The indifference in his eyes didn't waver even when his fierce fist was blocked, as if nothing in this world mattered to him anymore. He took a step forward, like a soaring eagle spotting its prey and swooping down on the ground. The man in black plummeted rapidly, then suddenly slowed down just before hitting the ground, landing gracefully like a falling leaf. Airflow, the power of wind control. Mu Hongyun smiled outwardly, but was inwardly astonished. This subtle control was far superior to that of his former enemy, Guan Shanhei. "Dark Holy Church, Executioner Pheromone," the black-clad man said with a sinister, cold-blooded tone, his hoarse voice like a venomous snake slithering across the ground. The beasts of the Black Church like to call themselves the Dark Holy Church. In fact, the Black Church's predecessor was indeed the Dark Holy Church. Before he finished speaking, a dark aura erupted from him, enveloping a radius of 1,000 meters. Domain, Hell's boundary. Shadow elements suddenly gathered, light elements fled rapidly, and even the weather darkened. "Hand of Hell," Pheromone chanted loudly, disregarding the members of the Inquisition. Truly arrogant, Chang Meng wanted to use magic, but found that the natural elements in the air had vanished, leaving only shadow energy active in this area. No need to try. His domain is a shadow-based domain, which suppresses elemental elements, Lang Qing said, shaking his head bitterly. Normally, elemental domains gather their own elements and repel other elements to achieve suppression. Even the light element is no exception. However, the shadow element is special, perhaps because it is an important element in the composition of dark power. It also has a suppressive effect on natural elements. In the shadow domain, a giant demonic hand composed of shadows extended from the ground, trying to crush Qunan to death in one fell swoop. It did not come to save Qunan, but to kill him and silence him. This further proved that Qunan possessed incredible information. Everyone was unable to use magic and could only watch helplessly as Pheromone used magic on Qunan Taeyan. Sitting in frosty sky in the pitch-black domain, a clear and cold moon suddenly appeared, the sea and sky sharing the moon. The holy silver light rapidly disintegrated this domain filled with shadow energy. Demon Court Group, Mu Hongyun, a Taoist priest in a crane-patterned robe and feathered brocade appeared casually before the moon, one hand slowly resting on the ancient sword at his waist. A naive smile appeared on his face as he tilted his head to look at Pheromone. Although Mu Hongyun hadn't drawn his sword yet, his sharp and astonishing sword intent already permeated every inch of the surrounding land. How interesting. I didn't expect the Celestial Empire to have such a young powerhouse. Pheromone's gaze shifted from indifference to astonishment, a hint of madness in his exclamation. Ha ha ha, I love tormenting geniuses the most. Pheromone laughed loudly, golden rock capturing dragon technique, boom, a loud explosion, a flash of golden light, and Pheromone was embedded in the wall behind him by Mu Hongyun's palm. Before the man in black could finish laughing, Mu Hongyun transformed into golden light, striking Pheromone's chest with his palm, sending him flying. Only those who can withstand my palm strike and survive are worthy of being my opponent. Mu Hongyun closed his eyes and put his hands behind his back. Taking advantage of this moment, Lang Qing immediately had Chang Meng grab Qunan and return to the Judgment Council with Lingling and Jiajia. Shi, Tang Yu, and Xiaoding went to disperse the surrounding crowd. Chapter 93 Swordlight Crematorium. Interesting, absolutely very interesting. Pheromone, embedded in the wall, laughed maniacally. He struggled to emerge from the wall, some things spilling from his body. These were fragments of his magical armor, a precious soul-level magical armor, unfortunately shattered by Mu Hongyun's golden rock dragon capturing technique. The stronger you are, the more I like you, the more I like you, the more excited I get. Pheromone's tone and demeanor became increasingly perverse, his face beginning to show dense, curse-like runes. Mu Hongyun calmly unfastened his wide, pure white robe, tossing it aside to reveal his well-defined upper body muscles. Excited, huh? Then I'll let you be excited to your heart's content. Lang Qing in the distance, unbearable to watch. Tang Yu blushed, these are fucking load words. Xiaoding, brother Mu, crush him. Mu Hongyun stomped the ground, charging towards Pheromone like a ferocious monster, his fist flashing with an eerie red light, flames generated by friction with the air. Open, with a roar, Mu Hongyun unleashed a cannon punch at supersonic speed. Pheromone was enveloped in high-speed airflow, his body spiraling upwards. The punch missed, creating an air explosion where Pheromone had been standing, shattering everything in its path. Sword technique, gentle breeze. Mu Hongyun didn't hesitate, leaping after him and soaring into the sky, his sword gleaming like a gentle breeze. Shadow escape, shadow clone. Pheromone's body suddenly froze in midair. In that instant of pause, Mu Hongyun caught up and punched him, obliterating his body. The moment the punch landed, Mu Hongyun sensed something was wrong. No blood splattered, only ink-like shadow energy splashed out. Shadow clone, a magic developed by Pheromone combining dark matter with advanced control. From the darkness on the ground, Pheromone's true form slowly emerged, a chilling smile on his face. The dark matter contained in the previous shadow clone had already marked Mu Hongyun's body. Then, shadow-based constellations appeared around him, like a demon king's armor. I've fallen for their trap. 6 red lines suddenly extended from around Mu Hongyun, locking onto him. These red lines weren't energy, nor were they a form of damage. It was like a warning of impending danger. Darkborn, instant shadow assassination array. Pheromone sent a demonic whisper, and 6 monsters composed of shadows suddenly appeared around Mu Hongyun. These monsters had red eyes, no intelligence, and no sense of pain. Whoosh! 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 The six monsters crashed directly into Mu Hongyun, the powerful impact causing his blood to surge. This was, after all, a high-level magic, and with the added benefit of dark matter, so it inevitably caused some damage to Mu Hongyun. Light Spirit Talisman. Mu Hongyun activated several yellow light spirit talismans, and the holy, divinely benevolent power of light rapidly purified the shadow energy within his body. Peace Talisman. Mu Hongyun activated another Cyan Peace Talisman, rapidly healing his injuries. He also consumed a few ki and blood pills, instantly replenishing his lost ki and blood. This series of actions directly broke Pheromone's defenses. A high-level mage had only managed to inflict minor damage on Mu Hongyun, yet he was healed in the blink of an eye. What was the point of fighting him? Divine drumming. Mu Hongyun's body moved at high speed again, instantly appearing in front of Pheromone. His massive hand, like a giant python coiling around an arm, slammed towards Pheromone. Pheromone's pupils widened in surprise, but he hadn't lost his fighting consciousness. Scale Demon Shield. A cyan tortoise shell-shaped shield instantly appeared in front of Pheromone. Mu Hongyun punched the shield, but not a ripple appeared. As for Pheromone, his body transformed into shadow and disappeared into the darkness, letting out a sigh of relief. That was close. However, before he could recover, a tremendous force struck from behind. An arm shattered through the brick wall and slammed into his lower back, instantly sending him flying. I heard it, your heartbeat, Mu Hongyun said calmly, a confident smile on his face. Pheromone flew through the air like a tattered sack, his entire body racked with pain. He could feel the bones in his lower back completely shattered. I can make countless mistakes, but you can only make one. Mu Hongyun stepped out from the ruins he had smashed with his fist, speaking like a god from afar. Cough cough. Pheromone coughed up several mouthfuls of blood, then chuckled. The eerie laughter echoed in the air, like the howl of a 1,000-year-old ghost, forcing everyone to cover their ears. Mu Hongyun slowly drew the bone sword from his waist. Even if you beg me, I won't let you go. Sword technique. White Lake. The sword light flowed like gentle water as Mu Hongyun wielded his sword with effortless grace. The sword energy as calm and serene as a white lake under moonlight, like a smooth ribbon wrapping around Pheromone. Under the entanglement of the soft white sword light, Pheromone's body did not diminish. Instead, it became even more sinister and enormous, like a black balloon inflated to its limit. Beneath the thin layer of sword light was a hideous and evil cursed face, its eyes filled with venomous hatred as it gazed at the outside world. When I appear, this city will surely be a river of blood. Mu Hongyun reached out and summoned a pure white robe, putting it on as he said, don't struggle, it's pointless. Pheromone clung to the circular wall of sword light, saying viciously, I didn't say it was over, so it will never be over. Oh. Is that so? I'll lie to people like you with a backbone? Mu Hongyun smiled calmly, son, all things in the universe. The gentle water sword light enveloping Pheromone instantly transformed into pure yang and fierce solar sword energy. Pheromone within the circular wall of sword energy suddenly felt the transformation of the sword energy. It was a supreme power from the void of the universe, a power that could purify all evil in the world. Outside the circular wall of sword light, no temperature could be felt, only a reddish-orange color could be seen, but the temperature inside was infinitely close to the temperature of the sun. Pheromone writhed and howled in pain within the circular wall, no longer the arrogant figure he had been before. He was like a fiery demon, sometimes shrieking and howling, sometimes weeping bitterly, sometimes cursing viciously, sometimes deeply repenting. Mu Hongyun stood calmly to the side, adjusting his pure white robes as if the matter had nothing to do with him. After he finished, the sword light dissipated, leaving only a pool of purple-gray. Leng Qing and Tang Yu, watching from a distance, were both stunned. They had both experienced Pheromone's strength firsthand, so no one had doubted it. It was no exaggeration to say that although Pheromone was only a high-level expert, his strength surpassed most mediocre high-level experts. Yet, this level of expert had been effortlessly killed by Mu Hongyun. At least, Leng Qing hadn't seen Mu Hongyun use his full strength. He's dead already, Tang Yu said, somewhat dumbfounded. He has some skill, that's all, Mu Hongyun said unhurriedly, then asked, that Yunnan isn't dead, is he? I had Chang Mang take him back to the Inquisition Council first, Leng Qing said calmly. Leng Qing stayed behind to deal with the Inquisition Council and the Magic Association, sending Mu Hongyun, Tang Yu, and Xiaoding back to the Westlake base first. Chapter 94 Archangel Lucifer's Divine Soul refines Soul Armor. That night, after Ling Ling reviewed the battle, She was surprised to discover that if Mu Hongyun hadn't been there, everyone except Lingqing would have died at the hands of Pheromone. Lingling also found out about Pheromone, since he had previously claimed to be an executioner for the Black Vatican. The executioners were the Black Vatican's assassination force, stronger and more capable than the Assassin's Hall. There was no assassination they couldn't accomplish. This was the surface information about the executioners. Lingling hadn't uncovered anything deeper, given their extremely low failure rate. Unfortunately, they had encountered a well-rounded warrior with high attack, high health, high defense, and high speed. Assassinations were like mosquito bites to him. After capturing Chunan, the Black Vatican's extermination team disbanded, leaving only Mu Hongyun and Lingling in the small house by West Lake. Under the cover of night, Mu Hongyun planned to discuss joining the Demon Court group with Zhuanxi. The Demon Court group appears impressive now, but it's actually a sunset industry built by Mu Hongyun using a false name for its success. Its top management consists only of himself and Mr. Qi. The Golden Ape Emperor and the Illusion Feather Emperor are only half members. They might help them, but they won't acknowledge themselves as members of the Demon Court group. The road ahead is long and arduous, but I will persevere in my pursuit. Mu Hongyun sighed. Traveling Panda Meng Lan's journey ends. A notification suddenly came from the mysterious space within his body. Immediately afterward, a black hole appeared in mid-air by West Lake, and Meng Lan steadily jumped out. "I'm back, little one," Meng Lan shouted as soon as she landed. Even after so much time, Meng Lan remained the size of a doll, as if she would never grow up. Traveling Panda Meng Lan brings back a Cyan item, Lucifer's Evil Angel Soul. Meng Lan's status, comfortable, healthy, travel cooldown, 3 months, Lucifer's Evil Angel Soul, fusion refining. Mu Hongyun didn't focus on the information in the mysterious space first, but instead held Meng Lan in his palm and asked, "What kind of world did you go to this time?" Meng Lan stood in Mu Hongyun's palm, hands on her hips, and said proudly, "That world is exactly the same as this one, exactly the same." "Is it also a world based on Blue Star?" Mu Hongyun muttered. "That world also has Mo Fan and Miss Xinxia. Anyway, everything else is the same, except you, little one, aren't there?" Meng Lan recounted everything she had seen and heard this time. After listening to Meng Lan's animated description, Mu Hongyun frowned. The more he listened, the more it sounded like the original world of Full-Time Magister. In that world, Mo Fan had already grown into a magic god, and Xinxia was already pregnant with her second child when Meng Lan went. Only then did Mu Hongyun turn his attention to the information in the mysterious space. Lucifer's evil angelic soul. An unfamiliar angelic soul. This soul wasn't mentioned in the original work. He did know the legend of Lucifer. In mythology, Lucifer was Michael's brother and the most powerful seraphim in heaven. However, when the Father commanded all angels to pay homage to the Son of God among men, only Lucifer arrogantly declared, "He is older and more powerful than men. Why should we worship men? Men should worship him." Later, Lucifer led a rebellion of 1/3 of the angels in heaven, but was defeated by the Father and imprisoned in hell, becoming Satan, the demon king of hell. Another version says that because of his pride and rebellion, Lucifer fell into hell and became the demon king of pride, one of the 7 deadly sins. Lucifer's evil angel soul, fusion refinement. Mu Hongyun curiously asked the feedback space, "Why are there 2 choices later, fusion, faster development speed in the early stages, but the upper limit is a forbidden spell, subject to the control of the holy plane. Refinement, can be refined into a soul weapon. The upper limit is also a forbidden spell, but it can be used to break the supernatural power and return to the innate state. Simply put, the former is to fuse with the soul, with a high probability of obtaining the original power of the soul, but the upper limit is locked. And it will be monitored and controlled by the holy plane. The latter is to refine the soul into a magic weapon with growth potential." Refinement. Mu Hongyun chose refinement without hesitation. He was going to become an immortal in the future. How could he let his soul be controlled by the holy plane? In an instant, the space refined the soul into a soul weapon and put it on Mu Hongyun's soul. This weapon not only strengthened the power of divine sense, but also protected the soul and defended against attacks targeting the soul. Most importantly, this soul weapon contained 2 magic systems, necromancy and blessing magic. Lucifer, even as an angel, is a demon, so his primal power is one of light and one of darkness, which perfectly manifested as these 2 magic systems. Unfortunately, both magic systems only possess the cultivation of stardust. "Little one, Why do I feel so cold? Meng Lan in his palm suddenly shrank her neck and said. It was nighttime, and Mu Hongyun was talking to Meng Lan with his back to Westlake. Although the evening breeze was gentle, hearing Meng Lan's words made Mu Hongyun feel a bit cold as well. Something's not right, at least 12 parts wrong. Mu Hongyun frowned and turned around, only to find himself in complete darkness. What was obscuring the moonlight? Mu Hongyun looked up, and although he had seen the white-boned dragon in the clouds, he was still shocked by the enormous creature before him. Its tall, imposing body stood on the lake like a skyscraper, surrounded by swirling clouds. Silver moonlight spilled onto the dark blue-green snake scales. A powerful, imposing head emerged from Westlake, its crimson eyes coldly fixed on Mu Hongyun. Even though Mu Hongyun knew the black snake wouldn't harm him, the sheer intimidation at such close range still caused him to momentarily lose his composure. Man and snake remained locked in a stalemate under the moonlight. Yo, isn't this the family Avenger? Why aren't you being cheeky now? A languid, orchid-like voice suddenly appeared in the night. Mu Hongyun's eyes widened as he looked at the black snake, startled. The black snake could talk? And with such a captivating, mature voice. Then he realized something was amiss. How did the black snake know his family Avenger nickname? He looked again in the moonlight and saw the alluring Tang Yu, dressed in a black gauze dress, reclining languidly on the black snake's head, her eyes sparkling with a smile. Truly, beauty under the moonlight is intoxicating. I'll fuck you, you old bastard. Mu Hongyun smiled outwardly, but inwardly cursed. Isn't this Sister Tang Yu? Why aren't you asleep yet? Staying up late is bad for your skin. Mu Hongyun suddenly remembered that he had offended Tang Yu during the day, and suddenly understood why the black serpent had suddenly appeared. Mu Hongyun, you seemed quite imposing during the day. Why don't you have a match with this one? Tang Yu was like a charming and beautiful snake. Forget it. If I were to fight this gentleman, I might just overturn Westlake. Mu Hongyun waved his hand with a wry smile. Tang Yu naturally wouldn't actually let the black serpent make a move. The black serpent was still part of the tribunal's defensive strategy, and if it made a move, it would probably arouse even greater suspicion from the tribunal. Chapter 95 Din Zio, look at my clear yet foolish eyes. After a few days' stay by Westlake, Zhuangxi, despite Tang Yu's obstruction, still refused to join the demon court group. Damn it, little Tang Yu. If it weren't for Zhuangxi's protection, Mu Hongyun would have made her pay dearly. Time flew by, and the day for new students to enroll at the academy was fast approaching. Mu Hongyun and Lingling couldn't stay in Hangzhou any longer and took the high-speed train back to Shanghai. In the dean's office at Mingzhu Academy, Mu Hongyun looked at Din Zio with burning eyes and said, Din Zio, look at my clear, foolish eyes. Why can't I enter Mingzhu Academy to study? You really want to enter Mingzhu Academy to study? Din Zio replied with a wry smile, it's not that you can't, but if you don't have magic, you'll be exposed sooner or later. I have magic. Mu Hongyun blinked his big eyes. Good. If you can use magic, even a beginner level 1, I'll take you, Din Zio declared confidently. Great. Din Zio, you said it yourself, Mu Hongyun said, overjoyed. Lucifer's soul contained 2 spells, enough for his disguise. Mu Hongyun lowered his head and began to communicate with the necromantic stardust within his soul weapon. Since refining his soul weapon, he hadn't actively cultivated magic. His powerful divine sense directly controlled the stardust connection. There was no question of obedience, and the 7 stardust stood perfectly aligned like soldiers in military training. The necromantic magic in Lucifer's soul was the oldest demonic necromantic magic, not the modern necromantic magic. Therefore, the magic used was slightly different. Dark gate, white bones. As Mu Hongyun poured in his spiritual power, the demonic necromantic magic emitted an astonishing light, establishing a connection with the dark plane. A gate, shrouded in deathly aura and carved with countless evil spirits, suddenly descended before Mu Hongyun. This is the power of the dark plane. Din Zio's expression was one of utter shock. Such a dense aura of darkness, he couldn't think of any other place besides the dark plane creek. The soul fire on the dark gate ignited, and it opened lightly. A wisp of gray air instantly filled the room. The deathly aura of the dark dimension alone was enough to make an ordinary person fall seriously ill. Creak. Through the dark gate, one could see the world beyond, a blood-red sky, a desolate yellow earth, and mountains as dark as ancient beasts coiled around them, the air thick with the smell of sulfur. A tall, White Skeleton tried to emerge from the dark gate, but Dean Zio's office was far too cramped for it. Alright, Zio Mu, stop your magic now. By the time Dean Zio realized what was happening, all the flowers in his office had died. He waved his hands repeatedly, signaling Mu Hongyun to end the spell. Okay, Mu Hongyun tried to extinguish the dark gate, but the skeletal warrior roared at him. This was the weakness of the ancient necromancy system. Undead not created by oneself were ultimately not so obedient. Throughout history, countless necromancers have been killed by the undead they summoned. Damn it, you think you're so tough? Can't you tell the difference between a king and a queen? Mu Hongyun glared, slapping out a palm that shattered the skeletal warrior's skull, bone fragments flying everywhere. Dean Zio couldn't bear to watch. This was hardly the behavior of a mage. What kind of benevolent mage could shatter a great general with a single slap? Radiance, purification. Dean Zio sighed softly, casting a level 1, initial level light magic spell. His hand seemed to hold a sun, the intense light purifying the deathly aura in the room. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Upon contact with a deathly aura, the light evaporated instantly, like water droplets falling into lava. You have 4 black magic schools. Which one do you want to audit? Dean Zio rubbed his temples. He had no choice. A promise was a promise. He had personally witnessed a connection between the stars in Mu Hongyun's hand. Then I'll choose the healing school, Mu Hongyun said, as if he hadn't heard Dean Zio. What are you doing, you silly goose? A thought automatically popped into Dean Zio's mind. He maintained his smile and said, Little Mu, healing magic is white magic. Black magic only has 4 branches, shadow, curse, necromancy, and poison. Hey, Dean Zio, there's something I forgot to mention. I actually have another branch, which belongs to white magic. Mu Hongyun never took magic seriously, so what if he was exposed? You have another branch. Dean Zio's first reaction was disbelief, but the next moment, Mu Hongyun's understanding was completely refreshed. White light shone in Mu Hongyun's eyes, and a holy aura permeated the surrounding air, an aura with a calming and tranquilizing effect. Holy grace, warcry. A white lion's head appeared above Mu Hongyun's head, raising its head and letting out a deafening roar. Dean Zio felt his blood boil again, his fighting spirit surge and explode, eager to fight someone, to battle 300 rounds. How to describe this feeling? It was like being injected with adrenaline. Power boost. Courage boost. Clear mind. Physical pain temporarily gone. Blessing magic. Dean Zio was finally shocked. The white magical light was the standard for blessing magic, and blessing magic was the exclusive magic of the Parthenon Temple. Oh no. It wasn't that there weren't mages born with blessing magic, but these mages were either accepted by the Parthenon Temple or died young. The reason for the premature death, everyone knows. Blessing magic was exclusive to the Parthenon Temple. Only temple mages with exceptional talent and knowledge could awaken it, and even then, there was a huge risk of failure. You, able to awaken blessing magic on your own? Dean Zio asked, his face contorted with worry, his mustache almost tugged off. He was struggling with whether or not to inform the Magic Association. Informing the Magic Association would be tantamount to informing the Parthenon Temple. The Parthenon would absolutely not allow blessing magic to be revealed, so the most likely outcome was that they would force Mu Hongyun to join the temple. Fine, Dean Zio thought, considering the powerful figure behind Mu Hongyun. He couldn't control this matter, so he had just let it take its course. At worst, the Parthenon and the Emperor would clash. Yes, that's right, Mu Hongyun shamelessly nodded. Alright, Dean Zio, don't forget to insert me into the white magic healing branch. After saying this, Mu Hongyun took a step and vanished instantly. Mu Hongyun left Pearl Academy and immediately used his earth element ability to appear in the bustling Lujiazhu area. The nighttime cityscape of Shanghai could be described as magnificent and luxurious. The brightly lit Huangpu riverbank was arguably the most beautiful sight in the entire city. In the vast plaza in front of the Jinmao Tower, urban white-collar workers and beautiful women gathered. Here, you could see ancient-style mages and stunningly beautiful women. A young man in a black Shongshan suit was pushing a girl in a wheelchair around a fountain, talking to her. Mo Fan's original intention was to wait for Mu Hongyun inside the Jinmao Tower, but Xinxia wanted to see the night view of the Huangpu River. Since that was Xinxia's only request, Mo Fan naturally wanted to fulfill it. Many people around them glanced at Xinxia with a hint of amazement. Even in the most prosperous city in China, Xinxia's looks were top tier. Those who wanted to strike up a conversation, sensing the black-clad youth's powerful magical aura, retreated, adhering to the principle of better safe than sorry. However, since ancient times, there have been many who are obsessed with women. A fat man, whose suit couldn't hide his chubby frame, approached Mo Fan and Xinxia with a confident smile. Wang Xianfeng was a well-known capitalist in Shanghai's gray areas, and he cooperated with races like vampires hidden in Shanghai. After cooperating for a long time and witnessing the power of vampires and other non-human races, he gradually stopped taking the power of mages seriously. "Hello, two children," Wang Xianfeng greeted them with a fake smile, but his eyes concealed a deep, wicked glint. Mo Fan's eyes were dark and bright, calm as an ancient well. "Is there something you need?" Mo Fan asked coldly. "Hello, I'm a director from Zuyan Film Company. I think this young lady has a good presence and is thinking of signing her to our company. We'll definitely offer excellent terms." As Wang Xianfeng spoke, he cautiously sized up Xinxia with a lecherous gaze. Having run his company for so many years, he had an extremely sharp eye and could tell at a glance that Mo Fan and Xinxia's family wasn't well off. This kind of talk was always effective on children from poor families. Besides magicians, being a star was the most popular profession. Some parents would even rush to send their children to their beds just to become millionaire stars. Once he got her into the company, he could do whatever he wanted with her. "Sorry, not interested," Mo Fan refused before he even finished listening. "Sigh, classmate, that's not quite right. This classmate should decide for himself." Unexpectedly, the piglet persisted, reaching out to grab Mo Fan. Mo Fan, however, wasn't about to let him get away with it. Armed with a weapon, his killing intent was ignited. He grabbed the piglet's wrist, twisted it, and the piglet let out a painful squeal, his legs buckling as he knelt on his knees. "No, no, no." Wang Xianfeng's tears instantly streamed down his face. With a light kick, Mo Fan sent the piglet flying, then into the icy fountain, involuntarily shivering. Thrown into the flowerbed fountain, the piglet couldn't get up for a moment, rolling around in it like a wild boar wallowing in mud. "Mommy, look! The big pig is taking a bath in the flowerbed." A very cute little girl in a princess dress pointed at the flowerbed fountain and said. After the little girl's words, many people looked towards the fountain. There stood Pig King, looking utterly disheveled, his face ashen as he surveyed his surroundings, his chest practically bursting with rage. When had he ever suffered such a loss? "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" Wang Xianfeng, his face ashen, pointed at Mo Fan and cursed, "Bastard, how dare you treat me like this?" Mo Fan, his face contorted with rage, squatted on the edge of the flowerbed, a ball of blazing fire coalescing in his palm. He said, "You fat pig, if your brain's filled with water, I don't mind drying it for you." Mo Fan's calm tone seemed to contain a hint of rage, his black pupils reflecting a disregard for life. For some reason, looking into Mo Fan's eyes, Wang Xianfeng was genuinely afraid. "Stop!" Suddenly, a young man in a black trench coat descended from the sky, his back adorned with azure wings. A black trench coat was standard issue for the Inquisition, and someone possessing winged magical artifacts was undoubtedly a genius from a powerful family. Upon spotting the judge, Wang Xianfeng immediately preemptively cried out, "Your Honor, help! He's trying to kill me." Mo Fan didn't cancel the spell, but instead turned to the uninvited guest, saying, "Are you here to protect this fat pig?" "Fat pig?" Hearing Mo Fan call him a fat pig again, Wang Xianfeng's barely suppressed anger flared up once more. He secretly vowed to kill this foul-mouthed brat. Just a mere mage, did he really think awakening magic would make him an overnight sensation? Attempted to use magic to harm an ordinary person, attempted murder. "Come with me." Dongfang Ming was instantly captivated by Yixingxia in the wheelchair, but upon seeing Mo Fan, he became jealous. How could a nobody like Mo Fan have such a beautiful girlfriend? How, convicting someone without even investigating? Is this the Inquisition? Mo Fan stood up, his gaze sharp as he looked at Dongfang Ming. "Insolence! Are you accusing me of favoritism and bending the law?" Dongfang Ming frowned, a blue flame suddenly erupting from his palm, its flickering light illuminating his handsome face. "Very well, since you refuse to surrender, I'll have no choice but to take you down by force," Dongfang Ming said arrogantly. "Then I'll test you." A domineering rose-like flame bloomed beneath Mo Fan's feet, and Mo Fan slowly assumed an ancient fist stance. At this moment, magic and martial arts seemed to merge. Rose flame, It seems the deaths of my clansmen are related to you. Duang Fangming was startled and began to re-examine Mo Fan. Duang Fangming stomped his foot on the ground, and flames like the feathers of a blue god instantly rose, as if he were wearing a magnificent blue robe. Just as the two flames collided, a series of crisp applause sounds rang out. Wonderful, truly wonderful, Sister Lang Qing. It seems the tribunal isn't entirely innocent after all, Mu Hongyun said with a smile. Just as Mu Hongyun finished speaking, Lingling quietly kicked his shin and whispered, "Go find whoever offended you." "What are you doing here, talking about my sister like that?" The two turned to look at Mu Hongyun, Lang Qing, and Lingling, who were staring at them with complicated expressions. "Old Mu, Vice Judge," Mo Fan exclaimed excitedly. Duang Fangming's voice was a mixture of shock and surprise. "Mo Gaozi, you're so indecisive. Why don't you just kill this fat pig already? When the tribunal comes looking for you, just deny everything. Don't you think our demon court group will protect you?" Mu Hongyun shook his head, speaking to Mo Fan with exasperation. Wang Xianfang was stunned. Was he talking about me? Demon Court Group? Why had he never heard of this company before? Before Wang Xianfang could react, Mu Hongyun unleashed a sword aura that instantly pierced Wang Xianfang's heart. "The root of your problem was this fat pig, wasn't it? Now the problem is solved," Mu Hongyun said, spreading his hands innocently. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Re-encounter with Red Sparrow verifies the guesses. Duang Fangming, this is none of your business. Go about your business, Lang Qing said to Duang Fangming, effectively putting the matter behind them. Yes, Your Honor, Duang Fangming glared fiercely at Mo Fan, then turned and left coldly. He was determined to investigate why the rose flame was on him. Mu Hongyun walked behind Xinxia and nudged her, saying, "Xinxia, I feel like you've gotten lighter. Has Mo Fan been abusing you at home?" "No, Brother Mu," Xinxia smiled gently. "Old Mu, why are you so slow?" Mo Fan also put away his flames, saying, "If you had come any later, I was afraid I would have punched him to death." Ridiculous. A mere second-realm martial artist dares to spout nonsense in front of a fourth-realm martial artist, Mu Hongyun pouted, revealing a strange smile. "You don't believe me? Now I can beat up the giant-eyed blood rat without magic." A high-end restaurant inside the Jinmao Tower. On the way, Mu Hongyun introduced everyone's identities. Lingling reconnected with Hong through Lang Qing's connections and arranged to meet at the Jinmao Tower today. It just so happened that Mo Fan and Xinxia had invited Mu Hongyun to dinner, so Mu Hongyun simply invited them both. Entering the upscale restaurant in the Jinmao Tower, the group strode in and were led by a waiter to their reserved private room. Brother Mu, Chief Ling, upon entering the room, only Honk was there. Seeing Mu Hongyun and Lingling, she immediately stood up to greet them. "Sister Hong, you're here so early. Please have a seat." Mu Hongyun was somewhat surprised, arranging for everyone to sit down and introducing them to each other. Upon hearing that Lang Qing was the vice chief judge of the Lingayan tribunal, she couldn't help but gasp. She never expected that this girl, who looked so much younger than her, had already risen to the position of vice chief judge. After all the dishes were served, the main topic began. Honk's heart skipped a beat, thinking that they were finally getting to the point. She was also curious about what Mu Hongyun and Lingling wanted to discuss with him. "Sister Hong, do you remember how many hunting groups we went to Great Mongolia?" Mu Hongyun asked softly, his hands on the table. "Just 10, right? Ghost Eye, Golden Sand, 9 Nether, Mastiff King, Zodiac, 7 Seconds, Wind and Cloud, Iron Blade, Blood Wolf, and your Azure Sky hunting grounds," Honk replied with a smile, thinking the question was meant to ease the tension. Mu Hongyun and Lingling exchanged a shocked glance. Honk had mentioned all the hunting groups except for the Snow Peak hunting group, because all 3 members of the Snow Peak hunting group were trapped in the Yin Ruins ancient city. Just because they were trapped in the ancient city, would they be forgotten by the world? "Chief Honk, don't you have any recollection of the Snow Peak hunting group or Chief Silver Fox?" Lingling asked again, confirming. "The Snow Peak hunting group. I know the Snow Peak hunting group, a famous hunting group in the northeast." Honk tilted her head, puzzled. She didn't understand what this had to do with the Snow Peak hunting group. The Snow Peak hunting group was also the hunting group that went to Dameng together, don't you remember at all? Qinling asked unwillingly. How could that be? At the first meeting, only the 10 of us leaders were present, there was no sign of the Snow Peak hunting group, Hong said in disbelief. Okay. Sister Hong, let's not worry about the Snow Peak hunting group for now. Do you remember how many of our Qingxin hunting group members went with us? Isn't it just you, Brother Mu, Leader Leng, and Brother Xiaoding? Honk felt confused and didn't understand why the two were asking such strange questions. Sigh, Mu Hongyun sighed and said, it's okay, let's eat. Mu Hongyun and Qinling exchanged a helpless glance. If Honk didn't remember the Snow Peak hunting group or Da Kui either, then there was no need to look for 7th Master and Ghost Eye Hunter King. They would most likely give the same answer as Honk. After dinner, Mu Hongyun took Mo Fan and Xinxia back to the Qingxin hunting station. Mo Fan came to the city center for 2 reasons, to take the entrance exam and to buy some new clothes for Xinxia. Over the past year, Mo Fan has diligently cultivated. His fire and lightning nebulae have stabilized, allowing him to unleash mid-level level 1 magic. His shadow magic has reached the initial level 2, and his summoning magic has formed a contract with a talented ghost wolf beast. His martial arts cultivation has also progressed from the mud embryo realm to the wood embryo realm, greatly improving his physique. Moreover, Mo Fan mentioned that Xinxia was admitted to Hangjiang Academy with excellent grades. Healing type healers are highly sought after resources everywhere. Ring ring ring. Back at the Qingxin hunting grounds, Xiaoding was sleeping behind the bar, while Meng Lan and Qian were playing go around a chessboard. Hearing the wind chimes, Meng Lan glanced up casually, her eyes instantly lighting up. It was her beloved Xinxia. Meng Lan knocked over the go board, which was facing away from the wind, and leaped into Xinxia's arms. Xinxia caught Meng Lan with a beaming smile, her smooth face unable to resist pressing against Meng Lan's. After the touch, Xinxia said, Meng Lan, you've gotten fatter again. Meng Lan replied in her sweet, childlike voice, like a bear. Mo Fan thought to himself behind Xinxia. Qian, seeing the overturned chessboard, immediately started squeaking and stomping his feet angrily on the bar. Fine, fine. Third brother, you're playing games like this, aren't you? We're on the same page, and you're playing mind games with me. The overturned chessboard immediately startled the sleeping Xiaoding awake. What happened? What happened? Xiaoding opened his eyes, suddenly realizing there were so many people in the room. His still somewhat drowsy soul instantly snapped awake. After recognizing everyone, he said somewhat awkwardly, I asked Meng Lan and Qian to cover for me for a while. You're really carefree, letting 2 kids guard the door. Mu Hongyun grabbed Qian's body, placed him in his arms, and stroked his golden fur. The poor, innocent little monkey was constantly bullied by the cunning and ruthless Meng Lan. Back when they were still the Qinling F4, Aoshuang bullied Diling, Diling bullied Meng Lan, and then the 3 of them ganged up on Qixin. It was because Qixin was the last to be born. In terms of intellect and ability, he couldn't compare to his 2 cunning older sisters and ruthless older brother. Tea or coffee? Lang Qing pulled an apron from behind the bar and tied it around her waist. In an instant, the dashing judge transformed into a gentle and refined domestic woman. Plain tea is fine. Mu Hongyun patted Mo Fan's shoulder, telling him to find a place to sit. Qingxin hunting grounds. Such a prestigious name, Mo Fan exclaimed in amazement. Of course. It's a long-established name in Shanghai. Want to join and work with Qinling? A 7-star hunter master will be your assistant. It'll be incredibly awesome, Mu Hongyun asked with a smile. Hey, the hunting grounds aren't short of people right now, Qinling kicked Mu Hongyun. Qinling, you don't know yet, do you? Your grandfather transferred Xiaoding to be Lang Qing's assistant, Mu Hongyun said, sipping the tea Lang Qing had poured for him. Really? Qinling turned her head, her delicate eyebrows furrowed as she asked her sister. I think it's true. Lang Qing felt a little embarrassed about poaching someone from her own sister's side. Chapter 97 The Siren Infiltrating the Security Zone. Old Mu, it's been a while since you've had some fun. How about we go out for a night out? Mo Fan grinned slyly, nudging Mu Hongyun with his shoulder and whispering. And you're bringing Xinxia along, is that appropriate? Mu Hongyun glanced at Xinxia, who was having a great time with Meng Lan and Qian, and whispered. Hurry up, just tell me if we're going to do it or not. I've been holding back for half a year. As soon as Mo Fan finished speaking, Mu Hongyun felt someone poking him in the back. He turned around and saw Xiaoding looking at him with hopeful eyes. "Brother Mu, take me with you when you go out for some fun." Even though Xiaoding was several years older than Mu Hongyun, he acted like a younger brother in real life. "Are you sure?" Mu Hongyun's expression was strange. "Of course, I'm very sure." Xiaoding nodded heavily. He was excited, as if he had thought of something exciting. So, in the Huangpu River fishing area, 3 young men lay on deck chairs, gazing at the moonlight, 3 fishing rods quietly laid out before them. There were other anglers around, but everyone was quiet, not shouting for fear of startling the fish. The moonlight shone on the river, reflecting shimmering waves, and the Bunzan Lujiazhu skyline were clearly visible. "Brother Mu, is this what you call cool?" Xiaoding asked, lying on the deck chair, a look of disappointment on his face. "What else did you think we were talking about?" "A big sword," Mo Fan said with a smile, speaking softly. "What big sword?" "I don't understand." Xiaoding shook his head, feigning innocence. "Come on, try some Yun's house specialties. I searched all the bars in Shanghai to get them." Mu Hongyun waved his hand, taking out several bottles of wind, flower, snow, and moon from his special storage. Each of the 3 received a bottle, and the rest were submerged in the cold river water. "Brother Mu, what did the Red Sparrow leader say?" Xiaoding took a sip, then suddenly remembered what had happened during the day. "The same answer as before," Mu Hongyun replied. It was strange, really. While inside the ancient city, Mu Hongyun hadn't noticed anything unusual. Yet, those trapped inside seemed to have been forgotten by the world. Not only were their memories erased, but their identities were also deleted. What exactly happened? "What you guys told me during the day was all very confusing. I didn't understand a thing," Mo Fan asked curiously. Mu Hongyun briefly explained his mission to the great Meng to Mo Fan. After listening, Mo Fan frowned deeply and said, "No one would believe such a thing unless they experienced it firsthand. Isn't it absurd to make someone think of someone who doesn't even exist?" Mu Hongyun took a sip of wine and said, "I think so too, unless we find that ancient city of Yin ruins again." "Brother Mu, you still dare to go to that mysterious ancient city?" "I certainly don't dare to go again." Xiaoding shrank back at the thought of that ancient city. It seems that the last trip to the Great Meng left an unforgettable shadow on Xiaoding's young mind. The beginning was a battle against the Grand Commander, the night was a game of werewolf, the slaughter of thousands of winged demons, a brave fight against the Grand Monarch, but in the end, they encountered the Supreme Monarch and were almost wiped out. "Hey, what is that?" Suddenly, the fisherman next to him exclaimed, and his shout immediately attracted the attention of others. Everyone looked towards the center of the river, and under the moonlight, a huge figure stood on the river. With its smooth, silver skin, sharp, menacing fins, powerful limbs, and cold, bloodthirsty head, it gazed up at the moonlight, seemingly praying to its radiance. "It's a demon," someone shouted in horror after glancing at it through binoculars. Instantly, countless fishermen, upon hearing the word demon, dropped their rods and fled. Although humanity had always fought against demons, ordinary people living in the Yin realm might never have seen a real demon in their entire lives. Hearing of a demon, they were understandably panicked. "That looks like a sword-finned sea monster. How could such a sea monster appear in the Huangpu River?" Xiaoding picked up the binoculars abandoned by the fleeing fishermen and looked at the river with suspicion. "What kind of sea monster is a sword-finned sea monster?" The magic idiot Mo Fan reappeared. Mu Hongyun, however, recalled that the sea monster chaos years later had already begun to be foreshadowed at this time. The sea monsters had already infiltrated the Huangpu River. The swordfin siren is a famous siren. Did you see those sharp fins on their backs? Those things are very expensive on the market. They're one of the top materials for making demon-slaying tools, Xiaoding explained to Mo Fan. While they were still explaining, Mu Hongyun had already begun his actions. The water forbidden divine power proved extremely useful at this moment. Mu Hongyun walked on the river surface as if it were flat ground, quickly rushing towards the swordfin siren, whose body was as large as an armored vehicle, water forbidden. From a distance, Mu Hongyun activated his divine power towards the swordfin siren, and a dark blue rune flew towards it. After circling the swordfin siren once, the dark blue rune nimbly entered its body, instantly severing the swordfin siren's control over the water element. A siren without the ability to control water is like a tiger without teeth and claws. When in doubt, take this stubborn punch. Mu Hongyun leaped across the water, his fist aimed straight for the swordfin sea monster's face. Although the swordfin sea monster had lost its ability to control water, its reaction as a warrior demon was still intact. It crossed its arms to defend, but was still sent flying. The swordfin sea monster's pale blue eyes widened instantly. It was a little confused. What kind of magic was this? This punch hurt more than its second uncle slap. Heh. The swordfin sea monster let out a sharp sound, but before it could finish, it received another slap from Mu Hongyun. You still dare to laugh like that, you big bastard? Great compassion hand, against a warrior demon. Mu Hongyun didn't even have the qualifications to use supernatural magic. He used the great compassion hand with his physical strength, directly smashing the swordfin sea monster's head to pieces. After the swordfin sea monster died, a piece of jade, polished to the likeness of a mirror, fell from its body. A drop of azure demonic blood dripped into the water, and Mu Hongyun waved his hand, placing the corpse into his special storage. Mu Hongyun picked up the jade stone, wondering what it was. Casually shaking the jade stone, a few drops of a nectar-like liquid flowed out. Mu Hongyun was shocked. This liquid was a high concentration of moonlight energy. How could this be? Mu Hongyun was secretly astonished. He couldn't understand how a sea demon could carry such a divine object, absorbing moonlight and condensing it into moonlight energy. Such a divine object was rare even in cultivation realms. Mu Hongyun's mind stirred, as if he had understood something. He quickly used a water avoidance technique and submerged into the Huangpu River. The river water was murky and icy, with fish swimming around him. Human eyes were useless in the murky water, so Mu Hongyun relied entirely on his divine sense to probe the riverbed. After diving for more than 20 minutes, Mu Hongyun finally discovered his purpose, a cave at the bottom of the river. There were a dozen or so deep blue eggs, surrounded by several jade stones. A bluish-green energy emanated from the jade stones, swirling around the eggs and seemingly nurturing the life within. Just as Mu Hongyun had guessed, the sea monsters, not daring to openly infiltrate Enji, first sent a vanguard to transfer a pile of dying sea monster eggs to the Huangpu River. Then, they used these jade stones, capable of converting moonlight into moon essence, to nourish the sea monster eggs, hatching young sea monsters. In this way, they could quietly transform the Huangpu River into the main battlefield for the later sea monster chaos. Chapter 98 Meeting Xiaozheng, Discussing the Ocean, Discussing Darkness. These jade stones were incredibly wondrous, able to absorb moonlight and form moon essence, making them excellent materials for crafting magical treasures. Mu Hongyun slightly opened his hand, storing the jade of condensed moon and the sea demon's egg into his special storage. Then his figure shot out of the river like an arrow. Under the moonlight, the immortal returned, walking on water, his robes dry and his body emanating no aura of water. How was it, Brother Mu? What was it like down there? Xiaoding, seeing Mu Hongyun dive into the water, mistakenly thought there was something extraordinary beneath the river. We'll talk about it when we get back. Mu Hongyun waved his sleeve, putting away his fishing gear, and then the three of them quickly returned to the azure sky hunting grounds. The appearance of the sea demon in the Huangpu River quickly alarmed the Magic Association, which sent array masters to inspect the security boundary. They discovered a gap as thick as an adult in the security boundary beneath the Huangpu River. At 4 in the morning, Old Man Bao was already up. The old man was a light sleeper, going to bed at 10 o'clock and getting up at 4 in the morning. 3 young men rushed back, only to find Old Bao reclining in his old rattan chair with an ancient book in his hand. He didn't even glance at them. Old Bao, something happened on the Huangpu River, Mu Hongyun said seriously. Noticing Mu Hongyun's strange expression, Old Bao sat up straight and asked, what happened? Mu Hongyun recounted what had happened on the Huangpu River. He also took out several siren eggs. The blue eggs were exposed to the air, and through their translucent shells, one could see the ferocious siren hatchlings inside. Seeing this, Old Bao put down his book, hurried upstairs, and returned a while later with a book. After carefully comparing them, he confirmed, they are indeed the eggs of the swordfin siren. These siren generally live in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. They are extremely ferocious, high-blooded siren. Old Bao pondered for a moment, then said, Young Mu, you stay home today. I'm going out for a bit, okay? Old Bao put on a black mage's robe and hurried out. At 6 in the morning, Lang Qing got up and was surprised to see Mu Hongyun guarding the gate. Because she needed to return to Hangzhou for work, she left with Xiaoding at 7. At 7, Xin Xia and Ling Ling got up. Mo Fan bought some breakfast, and after eating, Mo Fan went to Mingzhu Academy at 8 to take the entrance exam in the capital, at Mount Mu Pang. At dawn, sparrows chirped incessantly, old trees sprouted new branches, and servants of the Mu family hurried along the mountain paths. Most of the mountain buildings destroyed by the illusionary Feather Demon Emperor's thunderous descent had been repaired. Since Mu Hongyun brought the Emperor to the mountain gate, the Mu family had drastically reformed its servants, fearing a second Mu Hongyun. Not only the Mu family, but all the major families in the capital had also strictly reformed their servants, fearing a second Mu Hongyun. Although the probability was less than 1 in 10,000, who dared to gamble? Mu Dao, his face filled with fear, strode towards Mu Filun's room, his expression suggesting an urgent matter. Filun, Mu Filun was reclining in a chair, enjoying the caress of a beautiful maid, her face flushed with desire. Mu Dao's shout startled her. Mu Filun straightened up, dismissing the maid, wondering why Mu Dao had come again. Filun, disaster has struck, Mu Dao said breathlessly, his face dark. What is it? Brother, what happened? Mu Filun was startled by Mu Dao's expression. Guan Kai, who led the team to Shanghai a few months ago to cause trouble for Mu Hongyun, I only recently learned that he has long since returned, and all the judges except him have been wiped out. Mu Dao sighed heavily. Isn't he one of your subordinate judges? How come you only just found out? Mu Filun frowned. As soon as he returned, he was transferred to Yu Muchen's command by the Grand Judge without even informing me. I suspect that the Emperor has secretly reached an agreement with Mu Hongyun to jointly oppose our Mu Clan, Mu Dao said with a stern expression. How dare he? The Emperor, Mu Filun said in shock. Blame it on our Mu Clan for being too ostentatious. Do you know how the outside world views our Mu Clan? Mu Dao asked, his eyes wide. How do they view us? Mu Filun pressed. Now the world calls our Mu Clan the Ice Dynasty, in Donghuang. For a clan to be called a dynasty, how audacious is that? Mu Dao clicked his tongue in amazement. Mu Filun stood up in shock. The current Donghuang was established by overthrowing the rule of a dynasty, and now someone is attaching the name dynasty to the Mu Clan. Their intentions are despicable. Do they think this sort of Donghuang is not sharp? To destroy an enemy, you must first drive them mad, Mu Dao said quietly. This showed that there were indeed intelligent people within the Mu Clan. The nation has neglected the Mu family for so many years, and the Mu family members are even complacent, thinking the nation fears a clan? How laughable. Mu Dao's words made Mu Filun realize the truth. In recent years, the Mu family had developed rapidly, showing a trend of becoming the leader of the Eastern Wang clans. The Mu family members were also becoming increasingly arrogant and domineering. So what should we do now? Mu Filun pressed. Stability. At this point, the only thing we can do is stability. By the way, do you think it's possible for Mu Hongyun to unlock the memories of that incident? Currently, it seems unlikely. Otherwise, given Mu Hongyun's personality, he wouldn't be so obedient. Mu Dao looked at Mu Filun and asked, are you sure you went all the way with that matter? Don't worry. Back then, whether it was the healing mage or the mind mage, I had already. Mu Filun made a throat-slitting gesture. At the Azure Sky hunting grounds, Mu Hongyun and Ling Ling were playing chess, while Meng Lan and Qinling watched from the sidelines. Squeak squeak squeak, third brother, this is how cultured people play chess. Qinling pointed at the chessboard, expressing his disdain for Meng Lan's act of taking back a move yesterday. Ding-a-ling, the wind chimes behind the door suddenly rang. An old man Bao strode in, saying, Little Mu, come on, I'll take you to meet some important figures. A solemn expression appeared on old man Bao's face, as if the upcoming meeting was indeed with very important people. Okay, before even asking who they were meeting, Mu Hongyun reached out and overturned the chessboard, indicating his agreement. Meng Lan helplessly shrugged at Qinling, indicating that this was how she learned it. Qinling squinted at Mu Hongyun, then fiercely pounced on him, unleashing a series of slaps. Mu Hongyun flicked his finger, storing Qinling in his contracted space, and said, Stop fooling around. Ling Ling stared expressionlessly at the overturned chessboard, uttering two words, You scoundrel, I'll play with you again next time I come back. Mu Hongyun reached out and poked Ling Ling's fair forehead. HMPH, who wants to play with you? Ling Ling turned her head away haughtily. Today, old man Bao was dressed in a pure black mage's robe, looking quite extraordinary. He solemnly and reverently led Mu Hongyun to the Oriental Pearl Mage Tower. They took the elevator to the top of the Oriental Pearl Mage Tower, where a conference room surrounded by transparent glass was arranged in an extremely simple manner. From here, one could overlook the entire city of Shanghai. Before Hongyun entered, there were 2 men and a woman inside. Click, the door opened, and old man Bao and Hongyun quickly entered one after the other, then quickly closed the door. Old Song, thank you for your hard work. The middle-aged man sitting in the middle of the sofa smiled and nodded to old man Bao. Elder, General Yi, old man Bao greeted the 2 people sitting in the middle of the sofa. Of the 3 people in the room, Hongyun only recognized one, Wu Yong, who was sitting on the far side. Little Mu, this is Elder Xiao Zhang, the president of the National Magic Association, a member of the Asian Magic Association, and the chief elder of the Dragon Heart Pavilion. This is General Yi of the Central Military Region. Old Bao introduced Hongyun. Hello, Comrade Mu. Xiao Zhang stood up, extending his hand with a warm expression. Hello, Elder Xiao. Hongyun was still in a daze, not understanding why the elder and General Yi wanted to see him. I've heard about your affairs. General Yi looked to be only in her early 40s, the most charming age for a woman, and her years of military service had given her a steely, resilient air. General Yi forced a smile and said, Hello, General Yi. Hongyun nodded. Young man, don't be nervous. Besides, judging from the power behind you, we should be the ones who are nervous, Xiao Zhang joked with Hongyun. Elder Grand Elder, you probably didn't just come to see me about the Huangpu River, did you? Hongyun said calmly. A glint of approval flashed in Xiao Zhang's eyes as he said, Indeed, I've come to discuss an important matter with you. As he uttered these words, thunder suddenly roared outside, and the previously sunny weather abruptly turned into a violent storm. Seeing this, Hongyun couldn't help but recall a certain anecdote, a smile playing on his lips. Seeing Hongyun's childhood friend, Yi Zhang frowned. In her view, laughing suddenly in such a serious setting was disrespectful. I'm truly sorry, I just remembered a little story from history. Hongyun apologized repeatedly. Which little story? Xiao Zhang, far from being angry, asked with some curiosity. At the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty, the 3 powers were not yet evenly matched. During the spring rains, Emperor Wu of Wei and Emperor Zhaoli of Han once drank wine and discussed the heroes of the world. Emperor Zhaoli mentioned several heroes, including Yuan Shu, Yuan Shao, and Sun Jian. Emperor Wu of Wei sighed, You are not heroes. Emperor Wu of Wei and Emperor Zhaoli. These were both historically renowned emperors. Emperor Wu of Wei was the first emperor in history to use the Dark Curse and the one who explored the Dark Dimension most deeply. Emperor Zhaoli, whose virtue was illustrious and whose ambition was fierce, brought a perfect and dignified end to the Han Dynasty, which had lasted for over 400 years. Then who is the hero? Xiao Zhang was also intrigued by the unofficial histories about the 2 emperors. This world did not have romance of the 3 kingdoms. Emperor Wu of Wei and Emperor Zhaoli were both great magicians, and historical records about them were scarce. Emperor Zhaoli also asked the same question. Emperor Wu of Wei pointed at Emperor Zhaoli and said, Today, the only heroes are you and Xiao. Before he finished speaking, thunder roared. I see. After understanding the reason, Xiao Zhang burst into laughter and said, At that time and that moment, just like now and this moment, Hongyun added with bright eyes. Hongyun, I'll just call you that. You can call me Uncle Xiao. It sounds more intimate, Xiao Zhang said with a smile. Okay, Uncle Xiao, Hongyun agreed. Hongyun, if what you're planning today succeeds in the future, you will indeed be worthy of the title of hero, Xiao Zhang said, his smile gradually fading. Hongyun remained silent, listening intently. Hongyun, I won't keep you in suspense any longer. In a few years, our country's coastline may face a tremendous test, the sea monsters rampage, Hongyun had already guessed. That's right, it seems your strategic vision is quite forward-thinking, Hongyun, Xiao Zhang said with delight. Donghuang's coastline is vast, and it will inevitably suffer a fierce attack from the sea monsters. Several large demon kingdoms already inhabit our territory. The military region's strength is barely enough to deal with them, and there's no more strength left to deal with the sea monsters, Yakeshu suddenly interjected. Hongyun continued, So, Uncle Xiao, have you thought of any good solutions? A few years ago, an archaeological mage discussed with me that there is a mysterious force within our Donghuang land. If we can awaken it, then the coastline problem will naturally be solved, Xiao Zhang said with a sigh. Are you referring to totem beasts? Mu Hongyun raised an eyebrow. Yes, the totems that dwell on the ancient land of Shenzhou. Xiao Zhang looked at Mu Hongyun firmly. That day, what appeared on Mount Mupang was an ancient totem, wasn't it? Yakiashu said with burning eyes. Yakiashu was certain because only totems could freely traverse the eastern Wang'anji, since the method of setting up the Anji was originally passed down by totems. Mu Hongyun looked directly at Yakiashu and said, that's right, Senior Huanai was indeed one of the ancient totems, and a descendant of the 12 ancient beasts who established a calendar and time for humanity, but as the saying goes, the deeper the love, the deeper the hate. Senior Huanai protected humanity, but in return, he was betrayed. Would you fall into the same trap twice? This isn't just Senior Huanai's experience. In fact, all the totems inhabiting the eastern lands have suffered betrayal and slaughter from humanity. Humanity should be grateful that the totems haven't retaliated. Mu Hongyun shook his head, indicating that this method was completely impractical. Isn't there any other way? Wu Yong pressed. There is, of course, a way, the reborn totem, Mu Hongyun said. What is a reborn totem? Wu Yong asked, puzzled. Totems are immortal beings. The totems that died in that war should have been mostly revived by now. However, there is still a difference in strength between the new totems and the ancient totems, which is the difference in strength between an emperor and a monarch, Mu Hongyun said quickly. Chapter 99 Mo Fan, you can't imagine how happy your brother is. The five talked in private until dusk before leaving the Oriental Pearl Mage Tower. Xiao Zhang and Yakiashu flew back to the capital overnight. They had other matters to attend to. Old Bao, or rather Song Kaiming, returned to the Qingshan hunting grounds with Mu Hongyun. In the meeting hall, Old Bao revealed his true identity. He was the former high priest of the Holy Tribunal. The Holy Tribunal is one of the world's 8 major organizations, and along with the Inquisition, it governs the magical order, possessing power even above the magic associations of the 5 continents. In the afternoon, Mo Fan and Xinxia had already left. Mo Fan was taking Xinxia to Hangjiang Academy. When Mu Hongyun returned, he saw Lingling, Meng Lan, and Qishan playing Dao Dizu, a card game. The rules of Dao Dizu aren't difficult, and the 2 little ones were no less intelligent than humans. So, after Lingling explained the rules, the 3 of them smoothly started playing Ding-a-ling. The wind chimes behind the door rang. Ah, the little one's back, Meng Lan cheered with delight upon seeing Mu Hongyun, intending to flip the card table, but her hand was only halfway there when Lingling grabbed her. Lingling glared at Meng Lan with deathly eyes and said, Meng Lan, you really don't learn anything good. With that, Lingling pressed Meng Lan down with one hand and unleashed a flurry of attacks on Meng Lan's buttocks with the other, leaving after images. Woof woof woof, Meng Lan was even making a dog-like yelp. Hearing the bark, Lingling attacked even faster, asking, what are you barking about, huh? What are you barking about? Meng Lan stared intently at Qi Don, who was gloating beside her, her berserk panda martial spirit roaring internally. Fine, fine, little monkey, you're playing like this, aren't you? All this time, you're all smiles and laughter when your third brother's in trouble. Just wait until I get out of this mess, then I'll beat you up. 7 days before the start of the semester at Pearl Academy, Mu Hongyun finally decided to practice magic. He channeled a stream of youthful spiritual energy from his ever-flowing well of spiritual power into the blessing stardust, bathing the 7 stars in a highly concentrated spiritual energy. In just over 3 days, his blessing magic reached the 2nd level of the initial stage, with little time left before the start of the semester. Pearl Academy. Dean Zio had originally planned to send Mu Hongyun directly to the main campus, but Mu Hongyun refused. He wanted to experience the joy of fishing, a euphemism for being a frivolous or unpredictable activity. September 1st, a perfectly typical first day of school. While others were sent off by their parents, brothers, or sisters, Mu Hongyun was sent off by the little girl Lingling. Celebrate, Mu Hongyun. Thank my great mercy, Lingling, wearing large sunglasses and with her hands in her pockets, said coolly. Yes, thank you, Miss Lingling, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to send me off, Mu Hongyun said with a smile. On the sunny grass of the playground near the south gate of Mengzhu Academy, sunshades resembling small mushrooms were erected. Upperclassmen in their uniforms were hosting the freshman registration activities. Hey, look! There's a handsome guy, wow! The quality of this year's freshman is amazing. When Mu Hongyun, dressed in a pure white robe, appeared on the playground. He was destined to be the most eye-catching. His damn good looks made girls swoon and boys jealous. Wow, he's so handsome. I can't even imagine how strong he is. A senior under the sunshade put her hand to her chest, saying shyly and sadly. Coward. I dare to imagine it, her friend teased. Mu Hongyun tossed his heart triumphantly and said softly, Little Lingling, now you know how happy it is to sleep on me. Shut up. Hearing Mu Hongyun's words, Lingling's face instantly turned red, as if she remembered something embarrassing. Mu Hongyun looked up, searching for the registration area for the healing department. He quickly found the registration point for the White Magic Academy. The White Magic Academy had a severely imbalanced male-to-female ratio, with far more women than men. While the plant and mine departments might have 1 or 2 boys, the healing department was entirely composed of chubby, fair-skinned girls with large breasts, slender waists, and soft, sweet voices. Look, our god is walking towards the White Magic Academy. Could he have awakened a plant or mine type? Probably a plant type. I'm so envious of plant types. Exactly. This year we not only have the national goddess Mu Nujeo, but also a god. Wait a minute, why is our god walking towards the healing department? Everyone's expressions instantly turned puzzled. Could it be a healing god? Although there are examples of men awakening healing types in human history, they are extremely rare, with a probability similar to that of a beginner awakening a space type. The senior students in charge of registration for the healing department also looked at Mu Hongyun with surprise as he walked towards them. Junior, did you come to the wrong class? A tall, curvaceous senior stood up and asked Mu Hongyun, her face flushed. No, senior, my name is Mu Hongyun. I awakened the blessing department, and Dean Zhao classified me as a blessing department student, Mu Hongyun said with a sunny smile. Let me see. Another senior, petite yet robust, picked up the roster and checked it. Sure enough, he found Mu Hongyun's name at the very bottom. Zhuan, he really is a healing department freshman. Wait, what department did you awaken? Senior Zia Agada was so captivated by Mu Hongyun's looks that she momentarily forgot about his awakened magic. He said he awakened the blessing department, Lingling said with a grumpy face. What? Zia Agada, Zhuan, and the other seniors behind them were all shocked, their voices rising 8 octaves. The legendary blessing department that can only be awakened at the Parthenon. Senior Zhuan was so shocked she could barely speak. Yes, senior, Mu Hongyun nodded obediently. Wow, he really is an awakened blessing type mage, Zhuan exclaimed in shock, hugging Mu Hongyun tightly and squeezing his face. Everyone was shocked. Mu Hongyun was completely stunned. How did the sky suddenly turn dark? Xiao Gadao and the other girls behind Zhuan were also stunned. When they came to their senses, they shouted, Zhuan, how dare you eat alone? Lingling was the most confused. By the time she realized what was happening, Mu Hongyun had already staggered away from the warm embrace. That wretched woman, Lingling stomped her foot angrily. Stealing from someone's house right in front of her, you didn't take the little huge Liang of Shanghai seriously at all. HMPH, that's called striking first. I'll soak up some of your luck, Junior. With that, Zhuan gave a mesmerizing smile, then took out her handkerchief and wiped Mu Hongyun's mouth, saying pitifully, Junior, you don't mind, do you? No, senior, which dorm do I live in? Mu Hongyun smiled awkwardly, wondering to himself, aren't all healing girls supposed to be gentle and kind? Why is this one so fierce? Mu Hongyun, hearing Mu Hongyun say he didn't mind, Lingling stomped hard on his foot. Junior, what's the rush? We haven't even soaked up your luck yet. A senior standing behind Zhuan smiled seductively, then several seniors, as if they had planned it, pounced on Mu Hongyun. Mu Hongyun accepted it calmly, thinking to himself, let me die here then. Chapter 100 Zhuge Lindong and Dongfang Xiaoyan. Mu Hongyun snapped out of his daze, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He grabbed Lingling's arm and said, is that what you call loving to study? I can't even be bothered to dismantle you, you're so shameless. Lingling spat at Mu Hongyun. Alright, I haven't asked which dorm I'm in yet. What a pity, Mu Hongyun said regretfully. Building A, room 322, mixed dorm. To his surprise, Lingling proudly stated the dorm number, looking at Mu Hongyun with a haughty expression. As expected, the little huge Liang of Shanghai is amazing. Come on, give me a kiss, get lost, you jerk. The combination of a stoic male god and a pure little lolly would attract everyone's attention wherever they went. Especially Mu Hongyun's wide, pure white robes, which made him stand out from the crowd. Amidst the subtle, envious glances of the boys, Mu Hongyun found room 322. Putting everything else aside, the dorm conditions at Mingzhu Academy were among the best in the country. Opening the door, there was a corridor. On the left side of the corridor were shoe cabinets for slippers, and on the right was a toilet and shower. Walking further in, the view suddenly opened up, revealing a luxurious crystal chandelier overhead, 4 bunk beds with desks underneath, each with ample space, and a balcony at the far end for drying clothes. It was practically a dream dorm. When Mu Hongyun entered, he found someone already there. It was a young man in a simple colored Shongshan suit, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, exuding a scholarly air. He looked like a young master who had studied abroad during the Republic of China era. "Hello, are you also in this dorm? My name is Zhuge Lindong." The scholarly young man paused for a moment upon seeing Mu Hongyun, then quickly extended his hand. "Zhuge Lindong, your background is a bit complicated." Mu Hongyun was taken aback. "Hello, my name is Mu Hongyun, nice to meet you." Mu Hongyun shook his hand with a strange expression. "Have you chosen your bed yet?" Mu Hongyun asked. "I've already made the bed. By the way, where's your luggage?" Zhuge Lindong was dumbfounded when he saw Mu Hongyun and Lingling sitting empty on either side of him. Pot heaven, Mu Hongyun flicked his hand, and a neatly made bed appeared on it. A storage magic artifact. "Brother, your house is quite luxurious," Zhuge Lindong said with a smile. "I have achieved what I have today entirely through my own efforts," Mu Hongyun said proudly. "Meng Lan, you're talking nonsense. Without me, you wouldn't even be able to afford a 79 yuan eyebrow pencil. By the way, brother, I'm an ice type." "What type are you?" "Oh, I'm a healing type." "What?" Zhuge Lindong was truly shocked this time. He held his head in his hands, looking at Mu Hongyun in disbelief, and said, word by word, "You are a healing type. Can't you see my healing type god aura?" Mu Hongyun said, turning around. "Good brother, please be sure to take me with you next time you organize class activities." Zhuge Lindong instantly hugged Mu Hongyun's leg, saying with snot and tears streaming down his face, Sure, knock knock knock." Just as the two were about to put on a show of father-son affection, someone suddenly knocked on the door frame. "Excuse me, is this dormitory 322? Another tall and handsome boy walked into the dormitory, but his skin was comparable to that of Ai Jiangta from Xianlang Pass. As soon as he entered, he saw Zhuge Lindong hugging Mu Hongyun's leg, putting on a father-son show. "This dormitory has acrobatic performances too," Dongfang Xiaoyan said, grinning. "Acrobatic performances, my ass." Mu Hongyun and Zhuge Lindong thought with dark faces. "Sorry, I'm a straightforward person. My name is Dongfang Xiaoyan," the dark-skinned boy said with a smile. "Dongfang Xiaoyan." Mu Hongyun was shocked again. "Hello brother, I am Zhuge Lindong." Zhuge Lindong clasped his hands and said, "Lindong? It's strange, brother Lindong. We feel an instant connection upon first meeting." "Brother Xiaoyan, I feel the same way." The two immediately felt a sense of kinship. A short while later, a boy with delicate, effeminate features walked in. Whether out of arrogance or simply shyness, he didn't greet the three, but instead started making his bed. "Hello, brothers, my name is Dongfang Xiaoyan. Are you in this dorm too?" Dongfang Xiaoyan approached the effeminate boy with a friendly smile. Unexpectedly, the effeminate boy didn't shake hands with Dongfang Xiaoyan, but coldly said, "My name is Tang Lan. I have no interest in being friends with you, and don't bother me." Tang Lan's tone was full of disdain for the three. Dongfang Xiaoyan was stunned. He never expected Tang Lan to be so disrespectful. A flash of anger crossed Xiaoyan's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it and turned to leave with a flourish. All right, brother Xiaoyan, everyone has their own way of life. By the way, since this is the first time we've met, let's get together tonight," Zhuge Lindong said, trying to smooth things over. "Sure, but I have a few friends from our academy too. Can we invite them as well?" Mu Hongyun asked. "No problem, the more the merrier," Dongfang Xiaoyan laughed. Tang Lan, who was making her bed alone, sneered inwardly upon hearing their conversation. The talents recruited by Mingzhu Academy were nothing more than a bunch of good-for-nothings. After lunch, Mu Hongyun took Lingling back to the Qingshan hunting grounds. Back in his dormitory, before he could even sit down properly, his advisor messaged him to gather in the classroom. Mu Hongyun's advisor was a female teacher named Ruyi, with a soft voice, a gentle personality, and even a soft body. Mu Hongyun sighed deeply and said, "Our class has assembled, we're leaving first, don't rush, we'll assemble too." Dongfang Xiaoyan hurriedly got out of bed and put on his shoes, whilst Huge Lindong slowly closed the book in his hand. Dongfang Xiaoyan was from the Wind Academy, and Tang Lan was from the Poison Academy. Because of the unpleasant encounter, the three of them did not contact Tang Lan. Let's go, let's go. The elemental academies were all in one area, so after walking for a while, the two parted ways with Mu Hongyun. The White Magic Academy was in another area. Walking on the wide and flat avenue, the number of girls on the road gradually increased. Jio, am I seeing things? I think I saw the figure of my idol, Ai Tutu and Mu Nujio came out of the dormitory hand in hand. Both of them had been admitted to the plant department of Mingzhu Academy. Not to mention that their plant department was at the intermediate level, even if it was at the beginner level, Mingzhu Academy would still accept them. Suddenly, a familiar figure flashed before Ai Tutu's eyes, and her eyes immediately widened. Wasn't that the idol she had been thinking about day and night? Mu Nujio followed Ai Tutu's gaze and her eyes widened instantly. How could he be here? Mu Nujio asked, speechless. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.